Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Was Trained by All Might to Become the Secret Hero Ronin movie. Before we start, please go support ancalagonintheblack for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Deku is a male in this story. Chapter 1. Today 80% of the world's population have powers called quirk, while the rest are only called quirkless, although for this there are villains and heroes. 10% of the population are normal, while the last percentage people developed a kind of powers which cannot be called quirk, since these have a time limit to use it apart from having to recharge it during a fight. Every time this power was used, the whole place turned a dark color, although things could be noticed, while those who used this power in some parts of their eyes were a light blue color. These were called shadows, which fought in fights that can be to death or life. Apart from that, you could know when it was a shadow since they took out a weapon from their body, but a special weapon symbol that they were shadows, since, apart from taking out the weapon for the first time, the place turns a dark color. At these moments you could see a green-haired boy of 4 years named Izuku Midoriya, who noticed that about 6 boys were bothering him, a film of ashy colors. Izuku. Hey, leave him alone. Boy. And if not, what? Izuku. I will fight you. And that the boy gets beaten up, but when they want to continue with the other boy, Izuku stops them. Boy. You really want to go after someone you don't even know. Izuku. I don't care, I would give my life for someone. Then they hit him again until they left. Ash Peely. Hey, why did you do that? Izuku. They attacked you, and if no one did anything I had to help you. Ash's movie. My name is Bakugo Katsuki. Izuku. Izuku Midoriya, do you want to be my friend? Bakugo. Well, yes. There was a skeletal blonde man looking at them through the window. Man. That Izuku boy will make a good container. Woman. Help, there's a pedophile in that window. Upon hearing that, the man ran out of the place. After that, Inko went for Izuku and took him to her house. A while passed until there was a knock on her door, and when Inko opened it, she saw a good man. Inko. I have something for you. At that, the man changes shape, showing that he was All Might. All Might. Yes ma'am, I would like to see your son. Inko was surprised by what happened, but she let it go so that All Might could go to where Izuku was in the living room, and when he saw All Might he got very excited. Izuku. It's All Might. All Might. Yes boy, you are Izuku Midoriya. I saw you this morning when you helped that boy, and I managed to see something in you that I didn't see in other people, and you were a true hero, so I propose that you train so that you can be the next symbol of peace. Izuku. Are you serious? All Might. Yes, why would I lie to you? Izuku. Then I accept. All Might. Well, I want you to be on this beach tomorrow. The boy listened to him, and then All Might left the place while the boy was just very excited and his mother happy about what just happened. The next day Izuku had already gone to the garden and then went to the beach, where All Might told him that he was in his bony form. Obviously his mother took him to the place and then went to work because she trusted the symbol of peace. All Might. Well, young Midoriya, when I am in this form you will call me Toyonori only when I am in this form. Izuku. Okay. All Might. One more thing, no one should know about this, that I'm training you. Izuku. Yes Mr. Toyonori. All Might. We will begin to train your muscles. When some time passes and you have enough strength, I want you to clean this beach which was forgotten by everyone. And that Izuku is trained by All Might for a few days until Izuku asks him a question. Izuku. Mr. Toyonori, why aren't you in your muscular form all the time? All Might. You see Izuku, a long time ago I had a fight with a villain. I was with my teacher, the previous bearer of One for All. That villain killed my teacher and caused me a wound which could not be healed by anyone, so I have a time limit to use this form. Izuku. And that villain is in prison. All Might. No, he's free, but one of these days you'll catch him. His name is All for One, but hey, it's long in the past, go back to training. Chapter 2. A few years passed in which Izuku was training with All Might, already having an enviable physique for boys his age. Izuku, as time went by, noticed how his mother could not pay her debts each time, so the boy came up with an idea. So one day with some instruments he found, he made some music which he recorded. Once he recorded it, he bought a mask and left his house at night to go to a place where music was played. Employee. Okay kid, what's your name? I'll register you. Izuku was left thinking until something occurred to him. He had the mask on. Izuku. My name is Garrix. Employee. Okay boy, you'll be the last one to pass. And that Izuku was waiting in a room while listening to the songs outside until his turn came. Employee. Garrix, it's your turn. At that Izuku stepped onto the stage. He was wearing a black jacket with a hood on which was slightly open, showing a black t-shirt underneath, along with dark blue pants and black sneakers, and everything showed his mask. Izuku connected his phone to a device while the music played and he just started singing. When he finished, people asked him to sing more, so Izuku just looked at the employees who allowed him to continue, and luckily for him, he had more music than he did, so he just played the songs. After doing that, the people were very happy with the songs he told, so he just left the stage to go where they were going to pay him. Employee. Well boy, it seems that you sang and were the people's favorite, we will give you 3 times more than you should have. Izuku. Thank you. When he went out he saw some people. Man. Hi boy, let me introduce myself, I'm Johnny, and I'm looking for people like you in places like these, where I see a good future, so what do you think if we work together for the moment? Izuku. Sounds good to me. Each one gave the other their phone number so they could be in contact. When he got home he just left the money on the table to sleep. The next day when he woke up and left his room he saw his mother, so he told her about yesterday, and that he sang to be able to help a little with the money issue, so his mother agreed to let him do that. After that Izuku told All Might, which he had no problem accepting. That same day All Might couldn't help Izuku train, so he had to do things on his own. Currently he was hitting a rock thinking about how to get stronger. Izuku mind. How do I get stronger? Besides, songs won't be enough to help my mother. And that he gives a blow that breaks the rock into 2 parts, and when he looks closely he sees that in his hand was a separate sword that he noticed how everything around him turned dark, well he had a slight blue glow. Izuku. And the sword. Izuku. If I remember correctly, when a shadow uses his power for the first time, this type of thing happens, so I would be a shadow in part because I tied a hair of All Might. I will have to tell this to my mother and All Might. After that Izuku tells All Might and his mother about what happened, which surprised the 2 of them, but for them it was good. One day like any other he was talking with Bakugo, although he was very thoughtful, so he said each question with truth, so Bakugo wanted to try something. Bakugo. Hey, do you know Garrix? Izuku. You are. Bakugo. Where will the next concert be and how will it be? Izuku. It will be in a few days and it's me. At that point she realized what he said and looked at Bakugo with a scared face, and when she saw her face she understood that he was serious. Bakugo. You're Garrix. Izuku became his mouth. Izuku. Yes, but shut up, it's a secret. Bakugo. Well, I won't tell anyone. After a few days passed and one night Izuku wanted to try something, so he went to a place where the shadows fought to register. Employee. Hi, if you want to register just tell me your name. He was thinking until something occurred to him. Izuku. I'm Ronin. He had a mask on so no one could see his face. That's the mask. Izuku was waiting for his turn until he was called because the next fight was his. When he stepped in front of everyone to fight he took out his sword. This was the clothing he had. Presenter. Well, for this part with a shadow power of 20 is a new one, and his name is Ronin. On the other hand we have our champion with a power of 40 is Dark, our favorite. Then a guy appeared with 2 mallets. Presenter. Whenever you want. They gave him the start to begin. The fighter went against him, but Ronin managed to dodge his attacks since he had 2 mallets, so it was easy for him to predict his movements until he noticed a part where he could attack, so with his sword he attacked making a slight cut, but he did not have time to dodge an attack from the enemy, so he hit him with a mallet that crashed him into the wall. Izuku noticed how the whole room went dark, and when he saw an enemy he was in his shadow form to throw one of the mallets, but Izuku barely managed to dodge it, although he saw how the mallet he threw came back to him. Izuku went into his shadow form, although he noticed that the enemy was about to do the same, so he made a cut from top to bottom, and before the mallet hit him he disappeared from the place to reappear behind the guy, but with his sword he pierced his chest, leaving an instant death. When he fell to the ground everyone was surprised by that. Announcer. Well, this is the new champion. That's when Izuku went to get his money from him and left. He saw a guy who was outside. Man. Hi, my name is Shiru. I just came to suggest that you become stronger while I take you to better places than this one. Izuku just confirmed that he accepted the deal, so they exchanged phone numbers to keep in touch. Chapter 3. A few years passed in which Izuku already knew how to handle part of One for All, apart from cleaning the entire beach by himself, making him very happy. Also what happened was that the boy, by using Garrix's image, became famous in Japan, having many fans, and the only ones who knew his secret were Bakugo, All Might and his mother. And on the Ronin side the same thing happened, being very famous, having fans for their great fights that he had, and unlike this part to that of Garrix, Bakugo did not know anything that he was Ronin. He was currently going to take the entrance tests to the UA, since this was his dream. Izuku. Hey Bakugo, this is going to be a great day. Bakugo. Yeah, I hope you pass, I don't want to have any extras. Izuku. Same here. And that they did the written test, passing the 2 of them, and then each one went to a different city. When present might let them pass. The first of all was Izuku with green rays on his body. Izuku. This will be very easy. He said this as he went through one of the robots and then destroyed another. After a while he was in the city and he had already had enough points, but he felt a tremor and when he saw where the noise was coming from, he saw everyone running from the 0 points, while he noticed how there was a girl trapped in the rubble. Izuku? Isn't anyone going to save her? And that Izuku goes to the girl's place which was in bad shape since the robot was about to crush her, so she closed her eyes, but when she didn't feel anything and saw well, she noticed a green-haired boy who with great effort was holding the robot's foot. Izuku? Hey, get out of here. At that the girl finally managed to get out, so Izuku, seeing that she left, had to use more force while he screamed, and along the way his eyes turned completely blue to throw the robot. After that he jumped to be on top of the robot and with one blow destroys his head. After that he left the place, although leaving everyone surprised. At Izuku's house he was waiting to see what she told him if it happened until he received a letter happening what happened in the original story. The days passed and Izuku he went to the academy, arriving at his classroom to enter and see the whole class to walk a little slowly until a red-haired boy approached him. Boy. Hey, I'm Kirishima, I heard what you did to a 0 point and that's great. Izuku. Thank you, I'm Izuku Midoriya. At that many approached him because they knew that a boy with his strength could take down a 0 point robot. Izuku alone went to the back where he sat next to a brunette girl. Hi, I'm Momo Yaoirozu. Izuku. Nice to meet you. At that moment, a brunette girl arrives next to Izuku. Girl. You're the one who saved me from 0 points, I'm Uraraka Achako and thank you. Izuku just makes a smile that makes the girls in the place blush, although Momo was already starting to get jealous for some reason. That's when Izawa arrives to tell everyone to be in the locker rooms. Mineta. Hey everyone, there's a hole here to see the girls. Before he could see anything he received a blow from Izuku. Izuku. Hey, I hate a couple of things and one of them is perverts like you, so stop spying on girls or I'll kill you. The girls, upon hearing that, felt better knowing that they had an anti-pervert, although they heard something that caught their attention. On the boy's side Izuku took off his shirt. Haminari. Hey Izuku, and those scars. At that the girls got into the hole and mysteriously without anyone noticing they made a few more holes to see Izuku, which ended in success, seeing that his body had scars that apparently were made by weapons, although a thread of blood formed when they saw Izuku's bodysuit of him. Izuku. This is nothing. But that, he quickly changes to leave the place. Already outside everyone was in front of Izawa. Izawa. Well Izuku, since you're first in the entrance test, I want you to throw this ball using your quirk. At that Izuku took the ball so that green rays came out of his body and he threw it forming an enormous almost infinite distance. Izawa. By the way, whoever comes in last will be expelled. And that the tests would be done normally, with Izuku finishing first in all, except the ball thrown by Uraraka. At the end of everything Mineta noticed that he was last. Mineta. No, I won't be able to see Momo's breasts or Tsuyu's ass anymore. Izawa, the expulsion thing was a joke. Before the girls can beat him up, Izuku stops them with one arm in front of them all. Izuku. Izawa-sensei, can you make a living at Mineta? Izawa. Classes are over now, so yes. At that Izuku cracked his fists while looking at Mineta and he had a scared face. Chapter 4. After that day when no one knows how Mineta remained alive, classes were normal, although one day the teacher did not arrive, so everyone was talking about a particular topic. Mina. Hey Jiru, you already know that next week there will be a Garrix concert. Jiru. Yes, I am his #1 fan of his. Some upon hearing that began to argue that they were his #1 fan, although Bakugo was not for obvious reasons, although this made Izuku a little embarrassed. Kirishima. I do T like that Garrix, I do like his music, but I prefer a real man like Ronin, I'm his #1 fan of him. At that some boys began to discuss the same thing, and Garrix's girls, while Izuku stayed in the middle of everything even more embarrassed. Momo. Izuku, who do you prefer, Garrix or Ronin? Izuku. I'm not really a fan of either of them. That impressed everyone, although not Bakugo much, but before they said anything at that moment All Might entered the place, making everyone go to put on their hero attire. Izuku's was a brown jacket that reached almost to his feet with a black shirt, black pants along with black boots. His physique was noticeable since the shirt was tight, so the girls blushed at this very thing that Bakugo only smiled at. The teams would be like the original story, so when it would be Izuku and Uraraka's turn to be heroes, they just entered the building. Izuku. Uraraka, I'm sure Bakugo will come for me first, you go get the bomb. Uraraka. It's okay. Before Izuku could continue speaking, he threw her to the floor because Bakugo appeared with an explosion. Izuku. I'm sorry. At that Uraraka left the place, leaving them alone. Bakugo went against Izuku, who knowing that he was going to attack with his right hand, took his arm to slam him to the ground, followed by kicking him. Bakugo got up quickly just in time to give an explosion to Izuku, who had to move away because of that to activate some green rays, with which he went against Bakugo, who was trying to give him explosions, but when he was close to Bakugo, they had to start a hand-to-hand fight, in which Izuku was dominating the fight, getting to give him a blow that pushed him away. Bakugo extended one of his arms to then make a huge explosion which went against Izuku, who managed to dodge it. All Might. Young Bakugo, if you use that attack again I will have to punish you. Izuku. All Might, don't do that if you use that attack again. If we want this test to be won with good results, you have to let Bakugo unleash his full potential. And that only the two give a smile to then go against each other, starting another hand-to-hand fight, although this time they were equal since Bakugo was giving some explosions, although Izuku was not far behind, in one of the blows they moved away. Izuku. The next blow. Bakugo. It will be the last. And that they go against each other, Bakugo already taking out the safety and Izuku preparing a blow with one for all. When they arrive, Izuku manages to dodge Bakugo's blow a little, while sending a wave of wind into the air, causing the roof to break with continuing to win. After that Izuku kneels, because a part of the explosion hit him on the side of his body, tearing his shirt. Not his jacket, because he took it off before. Izuku got up with difficulty to take his jacket and put it on. Izuku. Hey Bakugo, are your explosions weaker than before or what? Bakugo. Don't act tough. But that they go to the observation room where everyone was worried about Izuku. All Might. Young Bakugo. Izuku. Don't tell him anything, All Might, I was the one who told him to do it, so if he has problems with anyone, let it be with me. All Might just left the two of them alone. At one point when the place was filled with ice everyone felt cold. Mina. It's very cold. All Might. It's nothing kid, this is normal. Momo. I don't feel anything. When everyone looked at her they saw that she was with Izuku. He literally closed her jacket with her inside, so that he would be okay. Jiru. Hey, get out of there. Momo. It's not warm. But that, she puts her head inside her jacket to go to the part of her torn shirt and appreciate her to Ella body. Before she could do anything the girls took her off Izuku. All Might. Okay, students, you all did very well, return to your classrooms. But that everyone left the place, although the girls managed to see Izuku's body again, although they all still wondered about those scars. Chapter 5. After that day, a few days passed in which the girls were in a corner of the dining rooms where no one could see what they had since they were with some magazines, apart from the fact that Bakugo could be seen bringing new things as if he started doing business where he earned a lot of money. Flashback. Bakugo could be seen in front of all the girls of class 1 as they were thinking about why he called them. Mina. What do you want, Bakugo? Bakugo. I'm here on business. Jiru. What kind of business? And that he shows some magazines that by cover anyone would say that they are not of much importance or anything, but Momo took it. When she opened the magazine she saw photos of Izuku showing most of his body, and in some he was posing. Momo. Where did you get them? Bakugo. Izuku owes me several favors and he still owes me more. Momo gave them money. The girls didn't understand why, but when they paid and opened the magazines, they understood why, so they just smiled. Bakugo. It was a pleasure doing business with you. Then flashback. Hiroshima. I wonder what they see in those magazines. Izuku. I don't know, I wonder why Bakugo has new things out of nowhere. All the boys looked at Bakugo after they went to the classroom and had to choose the class presidents being Izuku and Momo. At the exit when the alarm was given, instead of Lita being the one to calm them all down, Izuku took a big jump being in front of everyone to hit the floor with a bang, making everyone stay still and look at Izuku. Izuku. Enough, they are some journalists who entered the place, they are not villains. After that everyone calmed down and returned to their classrooms. In Izuku's classroom the names of heroes that they would leave in the future were being chosen. Everyone was like the original story until Izuku's son, who came to the front of everyone. Izuku. My hero name will be the one. That left everyone in doubt. Momo. Why that name? Izuku. When the time comes everyone will see why I chose that name. Bakugo. Deku, it won't be for that. Izuku. You are. Uraraka. What are you talking about? Bakugo. I've been Deku's best friend since we were little, and he was in many fights in which he won. It was like if he had no rival before him, that's why the one or the only one. After class everyone was outside and talking about one topic. Hiroshima. How about you go to one of Shadow's fights? Haminari. Today in the last fight Ronin is going to fight. Jiru. It's okay. Izuku. I'm sorry but I can't go, I have things to do. At night, everyone except Izuku was in the stands at the shadow fights, and right next to him were those from Class B, but no one said a word to each other. Announcer. Everyone ready for the last fight, which will be a 4-on-4 free-for-all fight, the first of 4320 ship, the second of 4335 tur, the third of 4500 smock and the last of 4000 Ronin. Everyone was shouting in celebration, although there were some who were complaining. Mina. Why the complaints? Hiroshima. The first three can fight fairly calmly, but Ronin is much weaker than all of them. When they started, the three of them went against Ronin while he was only in his battle stance. Hiroshima. And to make matters worse, it's like everyone against him. Tur has a spear, Ship has what looks like a kind of knife that has chains, and Smock has a sword that has blades on both sides. Ship would throw his weapon against Ronin, who only dodged it in front of everyone's eyes, and then blocked Tur's spear, and dodged a cut from Smock to go against Ship, who tried to bring his weapon in time, but Ronin arrived first, managing to make a cut in his stomach, followed by kicking him in his wound, sending him flying into the wall, and creating a curtain of dust. After that he dodged the spear to elbow him in the face, and then with his knee in the stomach to deliver a blow that raised him in the air to appear above him and give him another blow that created a large curtain of dust. After that he went to a small sword duel against Smock, having a slight advantage, managing to make a cut on his leg, followed by another on his arm, to give him a combo of blows, with which he sent him crashing against the floor. Before anyone said anything, the environment turned dark. Momo. What's wrong? Announcer. They went into their shadow forms. And that you could see the three of them in their shadow forms, so that Smock raised his hand up, and Ronin left the place where he was because a blue fire came out of the floor, although before hitting the floor Tur went against him, crashing into him, lifting him into the air, followed by Ship moving the chains in a circle, launching a laser that hit Ronin full on, but before he could do anything, Smock made a movement with his weapon, causing a large amount of energy to go against Ronin, hitting him, causing him to be on the floor. The girls for some reason were worried about him. Before anyone said anything, Ronin got up. Smock. How is it possible? At that point Ronin goes on to use his shadow form. In the blink of an eye Ronin has already made a cut on Ship's chest and then appears behind Tur and then behind Smock. Right at that moment, he takes out his shadow form to put away his weapon, and all three of them bleed a lot and fell to the ground. Presenter. They are still alive, will you kill them? Ronin just gave a thumbs up and left. After that everyone left. Uraraka. Why don't I kill them? Hiroshima. Because he is a real man, he doesn't kill them, but he does show them respect. Chapter 6. After that, the boys from the hero class were on a bus going to a testing site where everyone was dressed as heroes. When they arrived, they saw Hero 13 there. In less than a second, the lights began to fail and went out, leaving a portal in the middle of everything through which a bunch of villains came out. Izawa. 13, take them all out of here, I'll take care of them. At that Izawa jumped into the battlefield while they ran, but a guy from the portal got in the middle of them all. Kurajiri. Hello, we are the League of Villains and… I didn't finish speaking when a hand grabbed the metal part and threw it away from the place. When everyone looked, and it was Izuku. Lita. When do I get there? Izuku stared at Izawa and the villains for a bit. He was about to leave, but stood still thinking for a bit until he made a decision. With Izawa he was about to be attacked by a villain, but Izuku hit him, sending him flying. Izawa. Izuku, I told you to run. Izuku. Yes, whatever. Let me tell you something, all those who do not obey an order or fulfill the mission are garbage, but the one who abandons his companions is something worse than garbage. And that the two were fighting against the villains until Izuku noticed how the villains who were in different areas of the place began to gather, so Izuku had to increase his strength to begin to defeat them all. Izawa noticed how the thing called Nomu was attacking, so he went against it, having the same fight. Izuku, when he saw his teacher being tortured, he himself went, and with one blow he drove away the Nomu to take Izawa and take him where the others were. Izuku. Listen everyone, Izawa needs your help, so call for reinforcements, I'll make sure they don't get through. Uraraka. But you can't do it alone. Izuku. I know I can fight that thing, I heard it was designed to fight All Might. Momo. But what happens if you die? Izuku noticed how she was starting to cry, so he dried her tears and gave her a kiss on her forehead while he took off her jacket and put it on her. Izuku. Calm down, I'll be fine, now run. And that Izuku went against Nomu, giving him a blow to start a battle between the two, in which he was noticed that the Nomu was not affected by his blows, so the Nomu gave him a blow that sent him crashing into the stairs, but before he goes against the class Izuku kicks him. Izuku. If 5% doesn't work, use 10. Then he went against the Nomu to give him another kick. The Nomu tried to hit Izuku, but he was managing as best he could against a monster that resisted his blows as if it were nothing. Tamura. Nothing will work, kid, the Nomu can absorb every hit you give him. Izuku. Then let's go with 20%. At that, rays came out of Izuku's body, having a more even battle since it was noticeable that he was beginning to dominate the fight, but just as Tamura said, the Nomu absorbed the blows given to him, so he returned them to Izuku, who was already too hurt by what happened. Nomu at one point gave him a blow that sent Izuku flying, crashing into a building, causing it to fall on top of it. Izuku. Even if I use 30% it won't do any good, I have to use 40%. From the rubble Izuku came out going against the Nomu, summarizing the battle in which Izuku began to have control of the fight in which the Nomu was being thrown back. Tamura. How are you still alive? Izuku. Because I'm the hero, the one everyone's hope. With one blow he drives the Nomu away, but it returns against him with greater force. Izuku's mind. I'll have to use it even though I'll only be able to maintain it for a few minutes 50%. And that Izuku at great speed begins to have the Nomu against the ropes, causing it to throw itself back, making it unable to defend itself from even the slightest attack. Izuku. Listen to me carefully, no one can beat me because I am the strongest, I am the one. From a final blow that had 60% that he gave to the Nomu made him fly through the air, before the villains attacked Izuku, All Might appeared with the heroes. Tamura. Let's go, we'll have a chance. And that they leave the place, and All Might helps Izuku, and they go to where everyone is, in that Momo was hitting him in the chest. Momo. Izuku Baka, you made me worried. Izuku. But I'm alive and you're fine. Then, when he took a step, he fell to his knees and began to cough up blood. Izuku. Shit, I crossed my limits. All Might. An ambulance now. At that Izuku falls unconscious. Chapter 7. After what happened at UA, the students were given a few days off to check the security of UA, so Izuku was currently in the hospital, but when he woke up he felt an extra weight, seeing that it was Momo and Uraraka, so he was the only one smiled to caress them on the head, even though they were awake, or at least Momo and Izuku noticed this. Izuku. It's too bad Momo is asleep because if she were awake I would kiss her. At that Momo stood up as did Uraraka. Momo and Uraraka mysteriously. I'm awake. Izuku gave the girls a kiss on the cheeks, who blushed at this. Momo. Hey Izuku, you're being discharged today and we wanted to know since we agreed with the rest of the class and tomorrow you wanted to go see Garrix. Uraraka. Tomorrow he has a concert. Izuku. Sorry but I have things to do tomorrow. Uraraka. Well, it's okay, if you want we can help you get home. Izuku. Thank you. At that time when they left the hospital they went to Izuku's house, where he invited them to enter which they accepted knowing Izuku's mother, they stayed for a while, but when they went to Izuku's room, they saw that it was a normal room without All Might's things, although they were struck by a large chest that was in the place and said no opening. They were about to go to open it, but then Izuku entered. Momo. Izuku, what is that? Izuku. It's my chest that contains many secrets that I don't want anyone to know. Uraraka. Why? Izuku. If I tell him, it wouldn't be a secret anymore. Some time passed and the girls happily left to go to Izuku's house. The next day the UA boys were in a place where there were many people and a platform that Garrix was supposed to be there. In a trail of smoke he appeared with his typical suit and mask. Garrix. Well my fans, today I got you to let me walk among you. At that point he began to sing as he walked among his fans. In this song I walk near the hero class touching the girls' hands, although when touching them, they couldn't help but feel a sensation similar to the one they felt with Izuku. Then he goes up on stage to bring out the Digoi team. After that the concert ended so everyone went home, although the girls were happy because Garrix was close to them and with a thoughtful Bakugo, they returned to UA where they stayed for a while until they saw the mummy Izawa. Izawa. Well, even though we had the attack from the League of Villains, that won't stop us from doing the sports festival. At that point, everyone was very happy about the upcoming sports festival. Chapter 8. After a few days passed in which it was said about the sports festival, everything would happen normally since everyone was training until the long-awaited day arrived. Everyone was waiting until Todoroki approached Izuku making war on him that Izuku accepted. When everyone went to the central part and Bakugo said the words of the original story, they were told to go get ready to run. Mina. Hey Izuku, are you nervous? Izuku. No, I'm excited. And that when they were given permission to run, they went to see that Todoroki froze the entrance, but before someone did something, everyone from the original story ran out as did Izuku who was running at great speed with green rays coming out of him reaching Todoroki, but before he did something they noticed a bunch of robots that got in the way. Izuku. This is getting more and more fun. In a big leap, it goes against the 0 points, destroying some of them. Bakugo. Hey, don't leave me behind. During some explosions, he broke some robots. Todoroki. I won't let him beat me. And that he takes out a large amount of ice to pass between the robots. When the three passed through them, they noticed that Izuku was in front of everyone until he noticed a precipice. Bakugo. Deku stays behind. And that of some explosions he rises in the air to pass above the place. Todoroki only used his ice to make an ice path that only he can pass, and Izuku crouched a little so that the rays increase, only to make a great jump passing the place to be on a pair with the boys, although among these they were fighting each other. Todoroki trying to throw ice and Bakugo some explosions, but when they noticed Izuku they tried to launch their attacks at him, although at one point Lita stepped ahead of them. Lita. Very slow. And that he steps on an explosion that sends him flying, so the three understood that it was a minefield, so they had to be careful where they stepped, although that did not take away from the fact that they were having a race, so they hurried, and Izuku came to see that there was a pattern between the explosives, so he increased his speed beginning to pass the two, and did not touch any bomb. Izuku. This way I'll get there on time. Note that Todoroki and Bakugo finally noticed the pattern that was there, so they hurried to catch up with it until they reached a part of the hallway, so they went at full speed. Midnight. First place goes to Izuku Midoriya, followed by Shoto Todoroki and Katsuki Bakugo. Everyone gave a shout of joy to see how the end was, everyone was passing by, but Izuku noticed something in the distance from where everyone was arriving that made him angry. In the hallway when Momo was arriving with a Mineta on her back he stopped feeling it and he didn't understand why, and when he looked he saw Izuku who had a totally scared Mineta in his hand. Izuku. You go ahead and I'll take care of him. Chapter 9. After Izuku has almost killed Mineta, who no one understands how he is still alive since, apart from having more lives than a cat, he looks like a cockroach, they were seeing what would be the next part that would be done to eliminate the students being the cavalry challenge. When this happened the girls of class 1 were about to go for Izuku, but that idea was gone and changed by jealousy when they saw that Uraraka, Mei and Tokoyami went with him making a team. Uraraka. I say Izuku should be the one leading us. Mei. I say the same thing. Tokoyami. I have no problem with that. After that, 11 those who were going to fight were chosen, everyone got ready. Izuku. Everyone pay attention, we'll have to use Mei's inventions, I'm sure everyone will come for us. And just as he said when the start was given, everyone went against Izuku's team, so they had to use their invention to leave the place to end up on the other side of the track. Before they did anything Izuku noticed how a blonde named Monoma was going to want to try to take the points from Izuku, so he went ahead and grabbed his hand to get away from them. Izuku. What? Monoma. Yes. Izuku. I figured you were going to try to come after us, but not like everyone else does. Monoma. You're right, you'd better give me your points. Izuku. I don't think so, besides don't try to use your quirk copy it's not going to work. Monoma. You heard. Izuku. Yes, in racing, but hey, you're Uraraka-chan, you can. At that the girl touches her hands, causing one of Monoma's group to begin to rise in the air. The group left the place avoiding each one, but at one point the team surrounded them, so she had to use Mei's invention once again, but when they fell it was into one of Mineta's balls. Just at the moment they noticed how the teams were approaching. Izuku. Tokoyami keeps the group together with his dark shadow. And that Tokoyami uses his quirk to surround them followed by Izuku with one for all, giving a huge applause which made the teams move away and Tokoyami had a hard time keeping them held. After that they were able to free themselves from Mineta's ball, although Izuku noticed that a huge column of ice surrounded them all, and when they noticed that it was Todoroki's group. Right in one part of the place the ice broke showing Bakugo's group, the three groups went against each other, already preparing their best attacks against each other, but before the clash happened the time was up. After that it was said who would be the ones from the third part being those from the original story, and they were given a break where Todoroki and Izuku talked about the original story. As for the girls they were all eating together, although they noticed the one from class A, how Mei looked too much at Izuku, which kept Mineta away from them, as well as moved Kaminari away a little. Uraraka. Hey Mei, why do you look at Izuku so much? Mei. For nothing good. At that they noticed a blush that she had. Toru. What do you mean, nothing good? Mei. Well, when Tokoyami used his quirk to keep us together he touched certain lower parts of Izuku. Mina. How much did you play? Mei. Everything or so I think. Momo. What do you mean, I think so? Mei. It was too big for me to determine what the ending was. At that the girls were already very jealous, but with that the bomb exploded, but luckily for them it made the noise, so that they all came back, so the girls ran to Mei who did not let herself be reached. In the part of the stands Izuku had already sat down, but at the moment the girls entered through the entrance which they wanted to kill Mei, although Kendo tried to calm them down, but when she approached she was sent flying and falling right where Izuku was being above him, and this was noticed by the girls who remained still. Kendo. I'm sorry. Izuku. It's okay. At that Kendo sat down with the others with a noticeable blush. Kendo. Mei is right, I didn't feel any closure in that. At that the girls blushed for using their imagination of Izuku's body plus his member, but they noticed how Bakugo approached them. Bakugo. Hey, you two don't want one of these magazines. The girls didn't understand, but when they saw that those in class 1 said no, they were curious, but they ended up buying a magazine each. Bakugo. Well, try to see them in secret and Izuku doesn't find out and Izuku still owes me more favors. When they opened them they saw the images of Izuku which made them blush. Midnight. Well, student Izuku and student Shinso are coming down. Chapter 10. At that point, when Midnight told them that they had to go down, each one stood on a part of the platform ready for combat. Midnight, seeing this, gave them permission to begin. Shinso. Don't you think this is a beautiful day? Izuku. Yes, actually. At that Izuku froze and Shinso gave him the order to get off the platform, but something strange was happening, and it was that Izuku seemed to be resisting. News. What do you think? Izuku began to move towards Shinso who was backing away, although Izuku finally managed to free himself to run towards Shinso, who did not understand how he had been able to free himself from his control, until Izuku stood in front of him and hit him hard, knocking him off the platform. Shinso. The only reason I didn't enter the hero class is because of my quirk. Izuku. You have a great quirk, very good, I'm sure you will be a great hero. And that he extends his hand for him to take it and help him get up. When they went up to the stands, the other fights were happening normally until Momo's fight arrived, happening like the original story. When she was walking through the hallways she found Izuku in front of her. Type. Izuku. Izuku approached her to hug her. Izuku. I know you're holding back but come on, let it out. At that Momo cried a little on his shoulder and when Izuku stopped he dried her tears. Izuku. Come on, you look more beautiful with a smile. At that the girl blushed. When they went to the stands they sat next to each other, making the girls who looked at them jealous. The other fights were like the original story until Uraraka and Bakugo's arrived, happening like the original story, but before Bakugo could hit him, he was sent flying by an Izuku who had Uraraka in his hands. Izuku. I'm sorry Bakugo, but she can't fight anymore. Midnight. The winner is Bakugo. At that Izuku carries Uraraka in his arms to the infirmary. Izuku. Are you okay? Uraraka. I'm already with you. Then they heard that the next round was about to begin. Izuku. I'm sorry but I have to go. Uraraka. No way. On the way I met Momo. Momo. Izuku, you can say something in combat. After that, when he stepped onto the platform in front of Todoroki, Midnight gave him permission to begin. Todoroki then threw ice, but it was destroyed by Izuku with a punch. Izuku. First let me tell something. Todoroki. Okay. Izuku. I know this will be a great fight between you and me, so that fight is in the name of Miss Momo. He said this while touching his heart with one hand and extending the other slightly in Momo's direction as he looked at her, and she blushed at this. Mina. Why did he say that? Momo. If you ask him to say something like that in a fight it works. The girls were already angry with Momo. In the fight Todoroki only threw more ice, so Izuku had to respond with his blows, destroying more and more of the pieces that were thrown at him as he approached Todoroki, giving him a blow that almost knocked him out of the stadium, but he managed to stay inside, so he went against Izuku with his ice, well he broke it until at one point he grabbed Todoroki's arms. Izuku. Come on, let's do it, we're all giving our best so you have to do it too. He was about to hit him in the face, but he was pushed away by a large amount of fire, Todoroki being the cause of this. Izuku and Todoroki went against each other, Izuku destroying the ice and dodging the fire that Todoroki threw at him, causing a lot of chaos, but he did not manage to prevent him from getting close enough to him, hitting him in the face, pushing him away as much as possible. Izuku. Hey, let's finish this with our best attacks. Todoroki. You read my mind. At that Todoroki turned on his two sides, while Izuku prepared to hit with his right arm, although Midnight and Cementos noticing this tried to stop them, but that was not enough because when the two attacks collided with each other, a huge current of air was created that left everyone in doubt of who won, but when the dust dispersed. Then Izuku was seen in the middle of the track with his right arm extended and with his fist in the air, although hurt but standing, it defeated Todoroki, so everyone gave a loud shout. Chapter 11. After the first match of the second round ended, everyone was more excited to see such a spectacle that those of that year should have, so Izuku only bandaged his arm to be in the stands to watch the following matches. Mina. Izuku, how could you risk so much? Izuku. It was just a little damage. Jiru. A little damage, your whole arm is bandaged. Izuku just gave a small laugh while scratching the back of his head, which made the girls blush who didn't say anything else. The other fights went on normally until the finals arrived, which was between Izuku and Bakugo, who were already on the platform ready to fight. Bakugo. I hope you're ready Deku. Izuku. I am as excited as you can imagine Bakugo. When they were given permission to fight, Bakugo didn't stop and attack, although before he could do anything, Izuku was able to grab his right arm to push him away. But before Bakugo could do anything, he had to dodge a kick from Izuku counterattacks, with an explosion that hits him squarely, causing him to create a trail of dust, but a kick pushes him away. Izuku. Not bad, miscellaneous hero. Bakugo. I say the same thing the one. And that Izuku went against Bakugo, who tried to give him an explosion which was dodged by Izuku, who hit him with a blow that sent him flying, but he recovered in time to give another explosion to Izuku which was moved away by Bakugo. The two got close enough to start a hand-to-hand battle, although with some explosions that came to hit Izuku, causing parts of his clothes to break while he hit him that left him bad until in one, they collided fists that pushed them away, causing the two to almost leave, but they stopped in time. They began to walk towards each other to jog and finally start running at full speed, so that Izuku would extend his arm breaking the bandages, and Bakugo would make his hand shine. When the attacks collided, a huge explosion occurred which when the dust dispersed, Bakugo was seen outside the stadium and Izuku about to leave. Midnight. Hero Izuku wins. At that point everyone was celebrating, so the three winners were brought in, first being Izuku, second Bakugo and third Todoroki, because the latter was given an opportunity and came in third place. When everything was over, the boys from the two classrooms wanted to go see Garrix, since there was a concert that day, but they couldn't find Izuku so they had to go. When they arrived they saw Garrix walking among the public in his typical clothes as always. Garrix. Everyone listen, I had an accident so I couldn't move my arms and other parts of my body much, but that won't stop me from singing to you. At that he began to sing. Garrix. That was for all the girls who came to see me. Garrix. And that was for all the men, all the warriors who came. After he touched the electronics everything was over, so he left the place like everyone else, although the girls wondered what happened to Izuku and why they weren't there. Chapter 12. After the concert the next day Izuku was walking calmly down the street, although he was being stared at by everyone, and at the same time everyone gave him a smile, and in the process gave him a compliment that lifted Izuku's spirits. In Izuku's mind. This is amazing, being Izuku or the one everyone gives me compliments and loves me. If I'm Ronin, I have the respect of everyone without a doubt, along with shouts for me not to lose, and if I'm Garrix everyone loves me and my songs that I sing. This is great. When he got to class he sat down where he always did, but before he could get there he could rest a little. Haminari. Hey Izuku, where were you yesterday? Izuku. Well, I got a call from my mom, and I had to go help her. Kirishima. Even though it was bad, did you go? Izuku. Yes, you can't leave a mother alone. Kirishima. That's a man. At that point Izawa came in and explained the original story about the hero companies that were going to recruit them, although they were surprised by Izuku's number, since he had more than 1,000 who wanted him in, so he only took 2 since they were allowed to. He chose the first one himself, well the second one he did at random. When they chose, each one went to the company where Gran Torino was. Izuku. Damn, he's dead. Torino. I'm not dead. Izuku. Buck a zombie. He tries to kill him, but Torino dodges him. Izuku. I won't let you and your damn virus infect everyone. Torino. Wait, I'm not a zombie, look at me. Izuku. Yes, that's true, but in that case you know how I can kill Mineta. If I kill you, I'll kill Mineta. And that a while would pass until Izuku understood everything, so he stopped trying to kill Torino, who began to teach him how he could better train one for all, making him train for a few days, until one they had to go to the city to patrol, until Izuku received a message of support, so when he arrived, he kicked Stain the hero killer who was about to kill Lita. Izuku. Lita, are you okay? Lita. Yes. Izuku. Lita, go, I'll take care of him. And that Izuku goes against Stain, but Lita managed to tell him what his quirk consisted of, so Izuku dodged a cut from Stain to kick him using 20% management to break a rib, followed by another blow to his face that pushed him away, causing him to fall to the ground, so he thought it was over so he turned around, but before he could take a step a large piece of fire passed by him and when he looked it was Todoroki who pushed away a Stain who wanted to attack him. Izuku. Playing dead is a good strategy. Todoroki. Just stop being so confident. And that between the two they go against Stain who jumped on Todoroki's eyes, but Izuku was above him, managing to give him a blow that made him bounce off the floor, followed by a column of ice hitting him. Full on and then receiving a kick from Lita, but before Lita attacked again he stayed still because Stain managed to make a cut that paralyzed him, but before he went against Todoroki since he had his katana near his stomach, Izuku hit him in the face. Izuku. And I'm the confident one, how about a double combo that I told you about? And that between the two of them they go against Stain. Izuku appeared behind him, but before he did anything Todoroki's ice caught his legs, and then Izuku kicked him that lifted him into the air, followed by a pillar hitting him full on that lifted him up, but before he did anything Izuku appeared above him to hit him a blow that broke the ice, leaving Stain unconscious. After that night Izuku had to leave because he had to go to the other company. Izuku. Seriously, when I thought that doing it by chance I thought it would be a good thing. Heroine. Okay girls, this is the second boy I brought who will be in the last moments. At that Izuku notices that they were Momo and Kendo. Momo. Izuku, what are you doing here? Izuku. Well, the second one I did it at random and ended up in this place. Heroine. Okay girls, give me some clothes that will be useful for some photos. At that the girls gave a big smile and began to give him boxers that Izuku put on, although the heroine initially didn't like the idea, but completely changed when she saw Izuku's physique with her cicatrices. Chapter 13. After the internships that Izuku did and he was at UA with everyone else, although Izuku was wearing a hood thinking that no one would recognize him, but someone would take off his hood. Hiroshima. Izuku, why are you hiding? Izuku. Don't you know that, for some reason, I have to hide from all the girls. Kaminari. What did you do? At that Izuku shows a magazine of the heroine that Izuku put him in boxers in each and every photo. Girl. That's the guy from the magazine, the hero the one. Izuku. Curse. And that a group of girls tried to touch Izuku's body, but he managed to escape in time arriving at his class and seeing a group between the girls from class A and B as they were with the same magazines. Izuku. I don't know if I'll get out of this alive. At that point Izawa enters, who told his entire class that they had to go take a test in a place, so they had to go on a bus, although what surprised them was that those from class B were also there when each one sat down, although Momo sat next to Izuku, but they were bothered when Kendo went to where they were sitting on top of Izuku. Momo. Kendo, what are you doing? Kendo. Well, there were no more places so I came here in exchange for Izuku bothering him about this. Izuku. This doesn't bother me at all. Kendo just gave a smile. When they arrived at the place it was said that the test consisted of a fight against the teachers, so the fights and the teams were like the original story. When it was Bakugo and Izuku's turn to fight against All Might, the two were already entering the city. Izuku. Bakugo, I've been thinking of a plan and only this one will work against All Might. Bakugo. I'm listening. And that he told him his plan long enough until All Might arrived, but when he arrived he only saw Izuku. All Might. Young Izuku and young Bakugo. Izuku. He will come and it will be his turn to fight, but first it will be me against you. And that Izuku goes against All Might who stopped one of his blows and then blocked the other blows, although at one point he grabbed Izuku's arm to lift him into the air and crash him against the ground in a brutal way, but Izuku managed to free himself to kick All Might that moved him away a little, followed by another blow. But All Might managed to hit him with a blow that crashed him against a building. All Might. I think it would be better to look for young Bakugo. And that Bakugo appeared behind him to take out the safety, but before All Might did anything he received a few blows to his knees causing him to kneel, but in less than a second Izuku left so that All Might received the attack. Izuku. Bakugo is in official customs. And that they ran to pass the test, but in that All Might leaves the place to pass next to the two who received some blows that left them lying on the floor. Izuku. Bakugo plan B. Bakugo. Okay. And that Bakugo passes by the sides of All Might giving him explosions, but All Might hits him, but before he can do anything Izuku put himself in front of him so that the two of them hold hands in a way to push, making forces between the two of them so that All Might gives him a knee in the chin, but All Might forced himself down to kick Izuku who got up so that Bakugo is next to him. Akigugu. There's a list. Izuku. Okay. And that he grabs Bakugo's arm to spin him around several times to throw him to the exit. Before All Might goes to where Bakugo was, Izuku took him from behind preventing him from moving. Izuku. Don't think I'll let you go that easily. At that All Might takes him to leave him against the ground. All Might. I have to stop young Bakugo. Before he could do anything, Izuku got in the middle so he hit him, but before he could leave, Izuku grabbed his fist. Izuku. Plan B is for me to stay. Giving a smile of victory as he showed one of Bakugo's explosives to remove the safety catch and make it explode, making a huge explosion, and in the process Bakugo went through the door, although all the girls were worried about Izuku, although it was worse when they saw Izuku all hurt and burned. All Might. Why? Izuku. It's not obvious, tell me there are some old people and some children, you can only save one so you can live, who would you save? That left him and everyone else watching to think about the answer. Izuku. I don't know about you, but I would save both of them, I have time to save them but not myself. After that Izuku fell unconscious to the floor and All Might took him to the hospital. Chapter 14. After the tests and being discharged so that Izuku leaves the hospital and is scolded by the girls, although with a tender smile they were calm. They were currently in the mall, since they had to go to a UA camp, so they needed more resources, although they were at the entrance of the place, although Bakugo was doing his business with the girls. Mina. You brought them. Bakugo. Yes, I brought them, although it was difficult this time. In these I left him with animal clothes like dog ears and a tailor like a Nico, so they are better. When they took the magazines they saw that what Bakugo said was true, although they had to put them away since Izuku was arriving at the place, so they put them away. Izuku. Sorry for the delay. Izawa. Well, go in and buy something, I'll wait for you. They did as they were told and went inside to buy the necessary things, although at one point in all this they lost sight of Izuku. Toru. And Izuku. That left everyone in doubt and they started looking for the boy since they had all their things. Sayu approaches a business and looks by chance noticing the presence of the green-haired boy inside the business, then the other girls approach noticing how Izuku was looking at some weapons. Jiru. Do you like weapons? Toru. Apparently so. Mina. But why? They watched as Izuku got closer to the point of the swords. Seller. Do you want to try out the swords a bit? Izuku. You are. At that point the salesman activates a machine which throws things at Izuku who only cuts them with great mastery. Izuku. Thanks for letting me try it. He then left the business, but the girls were no longer there. When he went to the exit he saw everyone. Izawa. Well, soon they will have to go to camp. At that the boys leave, but Izuku notices that the things the girls bought were too much for them. Izuku. Do you need help? A few moments later you could see Izuku who was with all the bags in hand carrying them. First they went to Toru's house leaving her there, then to Tsayu's house, which gave him a kiss on the cheek, followed by going to Mina's house, which did the same as Tsayu putting her breasts in her face, then they went to Jiru's house which gave him a kiss on the cheek. They took Uraraka to her house, and she gave her a kiss near the lips. When they went to Momo's house, he gave her a kiss on his lips, and then smiled. Momo. Thanks Izuku. And that he enters his house with the bags, Pav Momo she closed the door to notice a big blush. Momo. What did I do? At that he looks out the door to notice a smiling Izuku who walked to leave. Momo. At least he likes me. Of Izuku. Izuku was surprised but changed that surprised face to a smile to walk away from the place. The days passed and everyone was at the UA in the classroom, although the girls noticed how when Izuku sat next to Momo and the two looked at me, Izuku blushed a little. Girls mind. Momo, what did you do to Izuku? That's when Izawa came in and took them to a bus where they would be with those from Class B. Chapter 15. After they bought the things and got on the bus going to camp, which lasted a while until they arrived meeting the Pussycats, explaining the things they had to do until one of them touched the floor, causing everything to fall down with all the students who when they fell, saw the place where they were. Izuku. This is bad. Haminari. What do you mean? At that point a robot was about to attack him, but Izuku destroyed it with one blow. Izuku. We better hurry up or we won't make it in time. In that, Class A and B were walking all over the place towards where they were told where they had to go, although destroying the robots, although the girls took advantage of this, so that Izuku saved them more than once each without exception. When they arrived one of the Pussycats tried to bother the boys, but when it approached Izuku the girls got in the middle. Ayuko. Well today we will cook, but from tomorrow on you will be the ones to cook for yourselves, but now go enjoy the hot springs a bit. Then each one went to the hot springs, separated by a wall that had no roof. Uraraka. Hey Momo, why did Izuku blush every time he saw you just like you? Momo. Well when you only gave him hugs and kisses on his cheek, I gave him a kiss on his lips, and he liked it. Mina. Damn. Then they hear some screams from the boys, more specifically Mineta. Mineta. Sorry Izuku, I won't try to see the girls in the hot springs again. Izuku. Because you're not dead, you have more lives than a cat, you have a second quirk of immortality or what? That brought a smile to the girls' faces, and the next day when everyone was training, Izuku was seen to be more focused than ever, impressing everyone with the enormous amount of weight he was lifting. Momo. Izuku, can we talk? Izuku. You are. Toru. In private. At that point, the girls from Class A took Izuku into the forest until they were a great distance away. Jiru. Izuku, we have something to tell you. Izuku. What's wrong? Girls. We like you. That left Izuku in shock. He didn't know what to say at the moment. Izuku. I'm sorry but that just left me so impressed that I don't know what to say. At that each girl gives him a kiss. Uraraka. You don't have to tell us now. And that they leave the place, leaving a shocked Izuku. Already at night everyone started cooking, although they noticed that Izuku was very distracted, which confused them, but the girls knew what he was thinking until he received a message on his phone, and when he looked he had a serious face that impressed everyone, since he only had that face when he faced All Might or the Nomu. When they tied and went to sleep everyone was fine until Kirishima had his eyes almost closed because the moonlight woke him up, and when he looked he noticed that it was Izuku with a cape, and I would swear that he seemed to have a sword on his back, but he left it so he went back to sleep. While later everyone woke up to an explosion, so they went outside to see how some trees were flying out of the place, although it was somewhat far away. Mina. What's wrong? Aizawa. Nothing special, Izuku is fighting. Aizawa knows about Izuku's secret. Mei. What do you mean fighting? Aizawa. Yes, and that's all. Moments before with Izuku, who was already walking somewhat far from the place, although he stopped walking when he saw that a person appeared in a tree who had two swords. Izuku had the mask. So you are Xerxes? Xerxes? Yes, and you Ronin. And that Ronin takes out his sword to go against each other, clashing swords, although Ronin had to dodge the second sword, followed by a spin trying to hit him with the swords, but only managed to make him go backwards. Ronin went against him to try to make a cut, but Xerxes stopped him in time to counterattack with the other sword, managing to make a cut on Ronin's leg, followed by giving him a kick that sent him flying, followed by going against him, but Ronin managed to dodge his cuts, to give him a blow in the stomach, to give him a slight cut on his right arm, followed by a kick, but Xerxes managed to dodge in time. To give him a blow followed by a cut in his stomach to throw him to the ground. Chapter 16. At this moment Ronin could be seen lying on the floor kneeling with difficulty, so Xerxes only gave a mocking smile at this, seeing the great Ronin on his knees before him. Xerxes in his shadow form sent his two swords which floated in the air, making many cuts to Ronin, and in the process, he launched a shadow energy which hit him squarely, causing him to crash into a tree, breaking it to return to normal. Xerxes. You know what, I thought you'd give me a good fight since there's so much talk about you, the great Ronin, the one who shouldn't be underestimated at all, and could definitely kill you. Ronin. You know something. Xerxes. What's wrong? What's going on? At this point he stops and leans over slightly with his eyes wide open. Xerxes. What the hell is happening to me? Ronin. You made some mistakes. Then he gets up as if nothing happened. Ronin. Mistake number 1, the cut I gave you contained some paralyzing poison. Then Ronin appeared in front of him to kick him, sending him into a tree, but before he could get there, Ronin gave him another blow that left him buried in the ground. Ronin. Number 2, you used your shadow power wrong because a real one is used like that. And that Xerxes stands up on guard, but everything goes dark so he flies back to normal, but when he saw Ronin who was behind him, a large amount of blood came out of his chest, causing him to fall to the floor. After that Izuku takes off his mask to make his things return to his house. When he walked back to camp he saw blue fire so he hurried, but when he was in the mountains, he noticed how Inari was about to be killed by a villain, so he kicked him, and Inari saw Izuku's wounds. Izuku. Inari, run, I'll take care of this guy. Inari. But. Izuku. Run now, I'll be fine. Inari hides so Izuku goes against Muscular, giving him a series of blows that left him in bad shape, but the villain, showing that he was Muscular, attacked Izuku, who managed to dodge his attacks. Izuku in his mind. I see if his eye changes it becomes stronger, I'll have to use 20%. And that Izuku goes against Muscular, giving him several blows that left him in bad shape, although due to his muscle layers, he could stand up as if nothing happened, although Izuku continued to hit him, preventing him from having the chance to counterattack. Muscular. Hey kid, you're really strong, tell me your name before I kill you. Izuku. I'm the one for you. And that Muscular changes his eye once more, he went on to use all his strength, just like Izuku, who upon noticing the enormous increase in muscle mass, began to use 30% to go against Muscular, who couldn't believe that a boy like Izuku could fight him. Izuku kicked him, followed by a punch that buried him in the ground. Izuku. Villain, engrave this in your memory, smash. Then he gave him a blow that sent him crashing against the rocks, leaving him unconscious. Izuku. Well, let's go Inari. At that point he would take a step, but he would kneel down in pain. From here on out the rest of the story would happen as it should until the part when Izuku sees in front of him how the League of Villains takes his best friend away. Izuku. Curse. It culminated in a scream as he punched the ground with 60%, destroying everything around him. Chapter 17. After the villains attacked the camp, everyone had to return, although they left Izuku inside a hospital for his injuries that were caused at the camp. When Izuku woke up, the police asked Izuku some questions, some of which he would have to answer truthfully, but others he had to lie about when they asked about the fight he had before the League of Villains attacked. At one point, he managed to get out of the hospital and saw Lita, Kirishima, Todoroki, and Momo talking about going to rescue Bakugo. Izuku? I'm going too. They were surprised because Izuku was there as if nothing had happened. Momo? No, you have to rest. Izuku? I know I have to rest, but the one who was kidnapped was my best friend, and I can't allow that to happen. Can I go with you or should I go alone? Todoroki? Okay, let's go. In that they disguised themselves, although Izuku had to put on a mask to go. When they went to the place they saw a large number of villains. Izuku mind. That's a huge amount of villains. In that they spent a while looking for Bakugo since they managed to get away from the villains' gazes to walk around the place until at one point everything began to fall apart. Izuku? Everybody get out of here. At that everyone left the place, although Izuku took Momo in his arms to carry her. When they left the place they saw All Might, who began to fight against All for One, and that Bakugo was there, so they went for him, taking the League of Villains by surprise, leaving everyone unconscious to go with Bakugo. Izuku in his mind. I can't let All Might fight that villain alone, I have to do something. At that point they reached a part where everyone was watching through a screen, so Izuku took advantage of the crowd to lose himself among everyone without anyone noticing. In the fight you could see All Might somewhat tired. Afo? What's wrong, All Might? You're not giving me the fight I expected. Before he could do anything, he received a cut on his chest from his sword. So many men and women alike gave a cry of joy when they saw who he was. People? Ronin. At that the swordsman stood between the two in an attack position staring at Afo. Ronin in the blink of an eye made another cut at Afo. All Might. Ronin, get out of here, it's not your fight. Ronin just looks at him, and All Might understood in that look that he didn't care what he said, that he would fight by his side, and that it was an honor. At that All Might stands next to Ronin so that the two of them can go against Afo. Afo? I don't care how many of you there are, I can handle you all. At that point he began to fight against the two of them, at the same time receiving blows from All Might and cuts from Ronin, who was in charge of seeing when he was going to defend himself, thus breaking his defense, and All Might, who only gave him more blows that did not let him be well, so he was beginning to lose until at one point he managed to hit Ronin, sending him flying and managing to make half of his mask break, but before everyone saw it, he tore off a part of his right sleeve to cover the broken part. Ronin. Well, this is getting worse, but I have an idea. And that he stands next to All Might. Ronin. All Might, I'm going to do something, so you get ready to give it your all. And that the whole place turns a dark color, so that out of nowhere, Ronin appeared behind Afo, making a huge amount of cuts which damaged his entire body since he had cuts, followed by giving several turns in the place, so that it was noticeable how Afo was even more injured, but it was worse when from a thrust of his sword that made a cut from top to bottom, a large amount of the power of a shadow comes out, causing him to be in a serious state, but it was worse when All Might stood in front of him and hit him with all his strength, causing him to be unconscious. All Might. Thank you, Ronin. And that he leaves the place, but through the screens Momo notices that the part of his clothes was torn down the sleeve, a scar was visible that he remembers is the same one Izuku had when he saw his body. Chapter 18. After the great fight between Afo and All Might with the help of Ronin, everyone was happy, although the news was talking about who Ronin really was, so everyone was looking for an answer to this. The announcement would be given that all the UA students from Class A and Class B would begin to live at UA, so everyone packed their things and went. Already at UA, everyone was setting up their bedrooms. Mina. Hey everyone, how about we have a contest to see who has the best room? At that everyone agreed and each one went through everyone's room until they reached Izuku's. Izuku. I don't know what you expect to see if I don't have anything interesting. At that point he opened the door and everyone came in to see that he only had some simple furniture next to a computer, a trash can in front of anything apart from having a workplace for anything, although they saw a chest that caught their attention. Kirishima. Hey Izu bro, what do you have here? Before he opened it, it was closed at great speed by Izuku, who had a serious face as he put a padlock on it. Izuku. This chest doesn't have to be opened by anyone. Uraraka. It's the same chest you had in your house that you told us you have some secrets in that you wouldn't let anyone see. Izuku. Yes, it is the same, but well, just leave this aside. And that they leave the room with curiosity eating them inside, wanting to know what was inside that chest. The winner of the contest would be Izuku, something that he would not give much importance to. 2 days passed, and Izuku remembered something from his house. Izuku. I'm leaving. Haminari. Where to? Izuku. I have very important things to do at home. Then he left the place. As soon as he left, the girls looked out the window as he took a bus to leave once and for all. Pendo. Now you're Raka. May. Hey Kirishima, can you help us with something? The boys didn't understand why the girls were like that until they saw how Uraraka brought the chest from Izuku's room. Bakugo. What do you do with that? Toru. We waited long enough for Izuku to leave so we could open this. Todoroki. I don't think we should do that. Mina. Come on, don't say that because we know that inside you are dying of curiosity to know what secrets Izuku is hiding in this. The boys gave up so Kirishima proceeded to open the chest by breaking the lock. When they opened it they were shocked to see Garrix's clothes in that chest. Sigh. Why does Izuku have this? He himself said that he doesn't pay attention to Garrix at all. Bakugo. Well, they found out, he's Garrix, you couple of geniuses. Why do you think he didn't go to any concert with us when he was free or to the festival when Garrix was hurt like Izuku? They thought about that until they realized that Bakugo was right and why they felt that way when Garrix touched them all. Momo. Why didn't you tell us anything before? Bakugo. Izuku made me promise to never tell anyone, but how did they find out? At that he began to drink a cup of coffee. Kirishima. Hey, there's more in here, there's Ronin's clothes with his sword. At that Bakugo spits out his coffee. Bakugo. What? And that when he looks inside the chest it was Ronin's clothes which had the mask broken just like the fight against Afo and his sleeve broken, so they began to think again and connect the dots when Izuku did not go to the Ronin fights. Bakugo. That bastard didn't tell me. Momo. I noticed in the Afo fight the scar that Ronin had on his arm and that explained why he had the same scar as Izuku. Everyone began to search more in the chest, seeing how the notes of the songs that Izuku made were, apart from videos of his fights against all his opponents, apart from the cameras in the locker room, to find out who Ronin was. They continued like this until they heard the noise of a bag falling through the door, and when they looked they noticed that it was Izuku who had some bags of food. Men. You are Ronin. Girls. You're Garrix. At that Izuku puts on an annoying face to leave the food in the kitchen and go back and put the things in the chest to lift it and take it to his room. Izuku. They didn't have to check any of this, and if I am Ronin and Garrix. After that he leaves and the sound of Izuku's room door slamming shut was heard, making everyone feel bad for meddling in their things. Chapter 19. After everyone left their things in their bedrooms, although Izuku had to go somewhere, they all took the opportunity to see what Izuku had, seeing the truth of who he really was, so when Izuku arrived, they saw how angry they were, so he took his things and left, leaving everyone feeling bad for not respecting Izuku's privacy. Kirishima. Then we didn't have to get involved in Izuku's things about him. Tesu. Now he is angry with us. Without anyone noticing, Kendo, Momo and Jiro left the place, standing in front of Izuku's door, thinking about whether to enter or not, since the green-haired boy was very angry, apparently. Momo. Izuku, it's me Momo, can I come in? The girls didn't listen anymore and went in to see if he was okay, but they saw that he was sitting on the bed while in each hand, he had a mask of his two people while listening to music. It will be your body, it will be your eyes. Since I saw you I fell in love with you. What did you do to me? How did you do it? I only feel that I want to hug you. Kiss you, be by your side and protect you. From everyone who wants to hurt you. Even though everyone looked at me like a monster. You looked at me with different eyes. What do you think about the attempted song? Be honest. Izuku. What do you want? He said it without looking at them. Kendo. We want to apologize for looking into your stuff without your permission. Izuku. I told you not to look into my stuff but you did anyway, I didn't want any of you to see my Ronin or Matrix secrets. Jiro. Why? Izuku. It's just that Ronin is seen as a greatness among assassins, while Matrix is a great singer, so it's not well seen that a hero or participant a hero does this. At that the girls hugged him. Momo. We can tell you a secret that we had before we knew this. Izuku. What is it? The three. We love you. Jiro. Before knowing this, you already had our hearts. They said this as they locked the door. Kendo. And we wanted to do things with you before, but everyone was going to look at it badly. Momo. But only if we were discovered. They said this as they gave him a kiss that surprised Izuku, as they made him lie down on the bed, while they kissed him more as they took off his clothes from him. Izuku. What are you doing? Jiro. We want you to make us yours. She said this as they took off his pants leaving only his boxers, but when they took them off they were surprised by Izuku's member. Kendo. It's big. Momo. And definitely juicy. Lemon skipped. Momo. Oh man. Izuku. I think so. They said this as they went to sleep. Chapter 20. After Izuku has seen that everyone discovered his secret apart from that he had a night of passion with his girls, so that the next day he woke up only to see the three girls sleeping on his chest, comfortably followed by looking out the window that it was already daylight. Izuku. Hey, wake up. The three of them woke up to give a cute yawn for Izuku. Kendo. What's wrong? Izuku. It's already daylight. Jiro. 5 minutes but. Izuku. We have to go to class. Momo. I don't want to. Izuku. If you get up, the next song I make will be for you." The girls woke up immediately and miraculously were ready for school. Izuku. How did they do that? Momo. Do what? Izuku. Forget it. The boy got dressed so he could open the door a little and see how there was no one there, so they went to class. When they arrived they only entered, so everyone looked sadly at Izuku. Lita. Izuku, we felt it. Izuku. It's okay, just don't tell anyone about this. Everyone said yes for this until Izawa arrived. Izawa. Everyone has to meet the big three of UA. Then they came in and introduced themselves as the original story, and Najire went through each place until she got to Izuku's. Najire. And who are you? Izuku. I'm Izuku. Najire. Nice to meet you, can you be free one of these days? Izuku. Don't worry. Najire had a slight blush that the girls noticed, so they got jealous, so Mirio would challenge the entire class, so they went with the hero suits ready for the fight, but it would be like the original story, except for Izuku who just watched. Mirio. Izuku, you only have a voice. Izuku. Let's see if your quirk saves you. Izuku took out his green rays so that he would go against Mirio, who did the same, but when he was going to hit him he went through him, so Mirio turned around to hit him, but before he did Izuku turned around to grab his fist and make it spin so that it would crash into the floor, but before it hit the floor, he used his quirk again, disappearing, so Izuku just stood still looking everywhere, but he ran his head as it came out from under the floor trying to hit him, but Izuku dodged it to give him a kick that moved him away so that he would go against him, so that the fight would be one in which Izuku blocked Mirio's blows and Mirio just let them go through him, but at one point when they went against each other, they hit each other in the face moving away so that they would stare at each other. Izawa. That's enough. The two fighters just put on a smile. Izuku. You fight well. Mirio. I say the same thing. The two bumped fists signifying respect for each other. Chapter 21. After the entire class won a fight against Mirio, Izuku was the only one still standing, so that at this moment they were talking to each other calmly in their class without any problem until Izawa entered and just looked at them all. Izawa. Put on your hero suits, we'll have a test. Everyone did as asked to get on the bus as they went to a place. Izawa. The test will be easy, they have to do rescue, they will have to compete with other schools that will be around the place. Everyone assigned their heads to prepare for the test, each going their separate ways. Izuku. I have to team up with Shiro and Uraraka. Shiro. Yes, Todoroki won't be too far from us either. Izuku. In that case Uraraka and Shiro will be in charge of rescuing the people. Todoroki, can you take care of the other schools alone? Todoroki. Yes. Izuku. Ready, you will be at a distance to keep them away, and if anyone passes by I will take care of them. Everyone just listened to the green-haired man to wait for the start. When they heard that they could start, they all jumped to start the test at once. Izuku. Ready, separate. Todoroki went off to the side as Izuku did, while Shiro and Uraraka stayed close to Izuku to rescue people. A few moments passed in which everything was working quite well. Izuku. It seems that we are doing well, Todoroki is managing, and Uraraka, Shiro are rescuing well. Before he could take a step a ball was going to touch him, but he dodged it. Izuku. Who's there? Hi, I'm Kami. Izuku. It seems like Todoroki missed one. Izuku went against the girl but she left the place. Izuku. What? Kami was going to hit him with a ball, but Izuku barely managed to dodge it while in the air. Izuku. That was close. Kami. Looks like I met someone pretty good. Izuku. And you can't imagine it. Green rays began to come out of her body and she went at great speed against her, but just then the girl left again, but this time Izuku managed to see where she was going. Izuku. You're fast. Kami. And that's not all. Kami disappears and before Izuku does anything, Kami throws him to the ground, hugging him from behind. Kami. It seems to me that you have some mystery, as if you hide some secrets and among those secrets there is a power that you keep. An explosion occurred, creating a cloud of dust, but Uraraka appeared out of nowhere. Uraraka. Izuku. Izuku. Uraraka. He sees how some rocks were going to fall on her, so he grabs her in a bridal way to run, and they end up hiding in some rocks. Izuku. Apparently they're all strong. Uraraka slowly approached a ball, but Izuku took the ball away from her. Izuku. Did you really think I was going to let my guard down? Pioneers. When he turns around he sees Uraraka, who ended up being Kami although she was naked. Izuku. Apparently I'm not the only one hiding things. Kami. No. The girl throws herself at him but ends up getting away with some ribbons. Shiro. Are you okay? Izuku. You are. He sees how Kami ends up moving away from the place. Before he does anything he sees an explosion where Todoroki was, so he went to where the boy was. When he arrived he saw a great orca. Izuku. Todoroki is fine. Todoroki. Yes. Izuku. Okay, there are civilians around where Great Orca is. Todoroki. No. Izuku. Fine, make an ice wall to separate us from him. Todoroki. You know that won't do anything for him. Izuku. No, but if I fight. Todoroki. I see. And that he makes a wall of ice separating them, leaving Izuku with the villains. Orca. Do you really think you can take on all of us by yourself? Izuku. Yes, I am more than enough apart from the fact that I am the counter voice. Orca. We'll see. Orca went against Izuku, but he only dodged his blows so that some green rays appeared with which he hit him, moving him away to go against Orca, but he ended up moving away because they threw cement at him, which as soon as it touched the floor, it became solid. Izuku. You catch your enemies to use your sound quirk. Orca. You're smart boy but not me, only my minions too. Orca's minions pointed their weapons at him. Izuku. There's something you didn't see, I'm not alone. Out of nowhere a large amount of ice took all the minions. Orca looked where the ice came from to see Todoroki above the ice wall throwing fire and ice at the minions. Orca. Damn. He was going to throw his sound at him, but he received a kick that sent him flying and crashing into some rocks. Izuku. You forgot that you are fighting with me. Izuku went to give him another hit, but saw how he fired a blast of sound, so he had to dodge the attack, looking at Orca who kept shooting, but Izuku dodged them while approaching Orca, who looked at him with notable anger until he was in front of him. Orca took the opportunity to launch sound, but the attack hit Izuku's arm, with which he also attacked Orca, so that an explosion ended up generating from which the two flew out, but Orca fell unconscious when he fell to the ground. Izuku. Todoroki, we win. Todoroki. Izuku, your arm. Izuku looks at his arm which was bleeding from colliding with the other attack. Izuku. It's kind of useless now, but it's nothing. Everyone went to see who passed, and Izuku found his name and was happy. After that you can see Kami with some children, although for them it was torture. Izuku. Apparently they don't like you. Kami looks at Izuku who had his entire right arm bandaged. Kami. And it seems you got hurt in your fight with Orca. Izuku. Minimal damage. Kami. If having an entire arm injury is called minor damage, I can't imagine what the major damage would be. Izuku. I think it would be better if you give the children some space. Kami. What do you mean? Izuku. Look. Izuku approaches some children who were far away. Izuku. Is something wrong, kids? Boy. Yeah, we don't want to be around that girl. Aiming at Kami. Izuku. I think they're kind of right about him not respecting their space and all, but they know something. Boy. What? Izuku. She really likes boys, that's why she always wants to be with you because she loves all of you very much and I think you should give her a chance, okay? She just wants you to like her. The children looked at each other. Izuku. Just play with her a little and if you need anything I'll be close by. The children just looked at each other until they put on a smile to go to where Kami was. Child. Miss, do you want to play with us? Kami. You are. The children took her to play while she looked at Izuku who only had a smile for this so that she could see how they played with her. Chapter 22. After they passed the hero license test for everyone to return to their dormitories being very calm without any problem since it was Saturday and luckily for them they finished all the work without any problem so they were relaxed although Izuku was making music until an alarm went off and he looked at something through the cameras. Mina. Hey, when will we see Izuku fight? Kirishima. What do you mean? Mina. You know how to Ronin or sing again. Momo. I really don't know, but I'm fine with how Izuku is now. Kaminari. Where is Izuku? Bakugo. He's making a song. That caught the attention of the girls who looked at him. Bakugo. Don't try to go see what's going on inside Izuku's room. The girls were about to send him flying, but out of nowhere they saw a person with a sword enter. Todoroki. Who is it? Ronin. He comes to fight. They saw him with his mask and also having his katana, but what he didn't have was his armor, since he was only wearing pants. Man. I'm Jack, nice to meet you sir, and this is Fred. Another man said it with what appeared to be some bags. Ronin. Fred and Jack, 2 master levels, we fight outside, I don't want any damage to happen here. In this way he jumped out the window so that everyone could see how they followed him. Ronin. Why did you come to fight? Jack. You're new to the master level. Fred. I want to fight you because of the rumors that are spreading about you. Jack. Ronin, the great swordsman who can fight against others who are stronger than him both in power and range and manages to win them. Ronin. Well, I'll show you my power if that's what you want. He said this as he took out his katana ready to fight the 2 men. Jack. I'll fight after you if you don't kill him. Fred. Whatever. In that way Fred took out his sword in front of Izuku, who had no expression in his eyes, so that Fred went against Ronin, who would begin to block all of Fred's cuts, who was noticeable that he was not even trying until one of the cuts that Ronin blocked could not withstand the impact for long, causing him to end up going backwards before everyone's eyes, but Ronin at one point stopped to see Fred, who went against Ronin, who only dodged him so that with his sword he made a cut on his arm, followed by a kick before everyone's eyes. "Ronin, I will finish you." At that his right arm received a knife so that he saw Jack with knives in his hands. "Jack. What's wrong? That was a bit of a surprise to you." Ronin just looked at him to go against Jack, who only threw more knives which were blocked by Ronin's sword, which was getting closer and closer, but when he got in front of him, Fred kicked him, causing him to move away from them so he could see the two of them. "Fred. Don't tell me you've never fought two at the same time." In that way he went against Ronin, starting a sword duel at high speed without stopping, letting the sparks be seen, but apart from fighting against Fred, he blocked Jack's knives which he tried to hit in the slightest, but he didn't manage to hit some to Ronin, but one more than another managed to stick in his body until he ended up with a cut in the chest by Fred, followed by a kick sending him flying until he stopped. "Jack. Apparently this won't be so difficult." "Fred. I'll finish this." "Ronin. What stupidity." "Jack. Sorry." "Ronin. Just look, your name is Jack." Apart from taking by surprise and deceiving in order to hold high the name of the ancient murderer Jack the Ripper, the most hated human by humanity, but you will never be like him. Well, Fred is a disgrace on the sword, a shame. This obviously did not please any of those who went against Ronin to end this, but Ronin began to block all the attacks, as if nothing happened before the eyes of everyone and more of the two warriors, who could not believe it since a few moments ago they had him against the rope, but at one point, Ronin gave Fred a cut on the arm and another on the leg to finish with another cut on the neck, followed by seeing Jack, who tried to attack him with his knives, but Ronin blocked them all without any problem until he took one of the knives that he threw to return it, but when doing so the knife hit the man's neck, causing him to fall dead to the floor. Chapter 23. After Izuku has fought against some people, defeating them all even though the boy was injured from the fight, only for some people to arrive and gather the bodies to take them away while cleaning the place, as if there had never been a battle in the area before everyone's eyes. Hiroshima. And all of them. Izuku. They are the people in charge of cleaning. After a fight they have to clean the place so that there is nothing left over from the battle. Momo. We need to heal your wounds about that. He said this while looking at Izuku's wounds. Izuku. I already have something for that. They saw a woman approaching the place. Woman. You let yourself be hurt again. Izuku. Yeah, Liz, it wasn't much. Liz. Every time you fight you let yourself get hurt. He said this as he began to bandage Izuku's wounds. Jiru. Who is she? Izuku. This is Liz, my personal nurse. Haminari. Everyone has one. Liz. Each shadow has his or her own personal nurse. Hendo. Can we help? Liz. As long as they do T open his wounds, then yes. The girls began to help her with bandages and healing her wounds. Liz. From now on I will have to be at the UA. Izuku. Why? Liz. Getting hurt a lot is not a very good option, apart from the fact that they will come for you to claim the title of the strongest. Izuku. But I'm not the strongest. Liz. Everyone thinks that in the future you will be the strongest and they don't want problems with the competition. The boy just agreed to go to UA. After a few days, Izuku met Mirio walking down the street while they had their hero costumes until something collided with Izuku, and when he turned his gaze he saw a white-haired girl. Izuku. Are you okay? I left the girl, who hugged Izuku with noticeable fear. Girl. Help me. Man. I'm sorry if my daughter is bothering you, Eri, come. The man said this so that the girl named Eri would increase the strength of the hug, something that Izuku noticed so that she would look at the man with a serious face. Izuku. Mirio, please me and take Eri out of this place, take her to my room. Mirio. But Izuku, that would be. Izuku looked at him with a cold face, making him do as the green-haired man asked, followed by Izuku looking at the man. Man. You know that's kidnapping. Izuku. Yes, I also know that that girl is not your daughter or Overhaul, because according to the bandages on her body, they do not say the same. Overhaul. I admit it, you've got me covered pretty good, kid. Izuku. Don't try to do anything, I know what your quirk is apart from your movements, I've been studying you in depth, a possible future threat like All for One. Overhaul. You are a very good hero candidate. Izuku. I know, I've been told that a lot. The boy looked at him to take out One for All, revealing his green rays. Izuku. Let the party begin. In a second he disappeared to hit the man, causing him to move away so that with a kick he could bury him against the wall, but he barely dodged some spikes on the wall, followed by jumping back, avoiding more spikes on the floor. Overhaul. You're a good boy. Izuku. I just have to avoid you touching me apart from being careful of the walls and floor, it's not that big of a deal. Overhaul. We'll see about that. The man went against Izuku, who dodged his blows as if it were nothing to kick him away from him, followed by going against the villain, who looked at him with an annoyed face to throw some spikes, which Izuku dodged with great mastery until he was in front of the villain to give him a blow that sent him flying, followed by a kick that lifted him into the air to finish with a mallet blow, causing a small crater to be made. Izuku. I think you already know that I'm very much against you, it would be better if you gave up. Overhaul only touched the ground to create a cloud of dust which when dispersed was no longer there. Izuku. He escaped this time, but I'll catch him soon. The boy went to the UA dorms where he saw Irikam in her room. Izuku. Are you okay, little one? He showed a kind face that relaxed the girl. Iri. Yes, much better. Izuku. Hey, you can trust me, why don't you tell me what happened? Iri. Okay. That way she would begin to talk to him about how Overhaul found her and began to experiment with her, making Izuku angrier than normal. Chapter 24. After Izuku and Mirio rescued Iri, apart from the fact that Izuku had a fight with some people before rescuing Iri, at this moment you can see Izuku with the other heroes and companions to enter Overhaul's house, ready to enter and start with everything. Izuku. Good thing it's fast. Izawa. Why? Hiroshima. Since Iri has been at UA, Izuku has been with her for a long time, he seems like a father wanting to get back his time with his daughter. Izawa. I see. That way they went to the house, but like the original story, Rukia tried to get in so that he would be stopped by the girls, everyone ran inside the house. Izuku. It shouldn't be far. Hiroshima. When we find him, he'll pay us for Iri. Izuku. That's how you talk. Everyone was running until Izuku instinctively got everyone out of one place using one for all, watching as a piece of the wall almost attacked them. Izuku. A little more and we wouldn't have counted it. Hiroshima. It's one of the precepts of death. The red-haired man dodged an attack from the wall. Izawa. And Mirio. Izuku. He should have gone ahead on his own, I'll catch up with him. Izuku started running to a part where he saw where Mirio went, he ran until he reached a part where he found Mirio, who was fighting against two precepts of death to go against Overhaul. Izuku. Damn idiot. The green-haired man let out one for all, revealing his green rays, so that with a few quick movements and jumps, he reached Overhaul's side, kicking him, sending him against the wall in front of everyone's eyes. Before the villain could do anything, Izuku ended up giving him another kick that caused him to break the wall. Mirio. What are you doing? Izuku. What are you doing? You stupidly throw yourself into confronting your leader. Mirio. If we didn't do it we would end up losing them. Izuku. It doesn't matter, you still had to wait for us. Izuku dodged a bullet so that it would go against Kurono, kicking him, sending him out of the place and leaving him unconscious. Izuku. Now we will face Overhaul together. Mirio just agreed for them to go against Overhaul, but when they did they had to dodge some of his spikes, which he didn't look very happy, judging by his face. The villain continued attacking the two who dodged each attack as best they could. Izuku. I got tired of playing. The green-haired man went against Overhaul, being seen by the same one who was about to attack him, but ended up with a punch from Mirio in the face. When he tried to touch Mirio, he let him go through him, so that he ended up with a kick from Izuku that sent him against the wall. Izuku took Mirio by the arms to spin around a few times to throw him against Overhaul, which ended with a punch from the blonde that sent him flying, but before he could gain consciousness, he received a punch from Izuku sent him to the floor. Overhaul. I will destroy them. The villain began to make several spikes that Mirio and Izuku dodged. Izuku. I have no choice. The green-haired man made the whole environment for him turn dark like Izuku, but now his eyes were bright blue, being his shadow state. The green-haired man with one movement caused blue fire to be generated under Overhaul's feet, causing him to be sent up, which he took advantage of to jump and connect hundreds of blows, which came loaded with one for all, being something new for Izuku, until he got tired and everything returned to normal and Izuku fell to the ground. Izuku. Damn, I can barely move anymore. The green-haired man got up with difficulty, while Overhaul was alone on the floor unconscious. Izuku. At least it's over. The boy dropped to the floor in the world of unconsciousness. Chapter 25. After they had fought against the 8 precepts of death, being defeated by Izuku, who ended up unconscious apart from wounds on his body, at this moment the boy was waking up in a hospital bed, looking everywhere, noticing that there was no one in the place, so he sat on his bed. Izuku. It was definitely a very tough fight. As soon as he realized that they were really looking at him, he was thrown back onto the bed, noticing 3 heads of hair, one jet black, another orange, and the last purple. Izuku. What's wrong? Momo. You worried us, Izuku. Kendo. When they told us that you fought against the 8 precepts of death or at least against a leader, we were very worried, especially when we found out that you were unconscious in the hospital. Izuku. But as you see I'm fine, I'm not missing any body part. Izawa. In fact, if he had touched you at least those 10 times he was about to touch you, you would have died. Saying those words the girls increased their embrace around Izuku who was beginning to have difficulty breathing. Izuku. Girls, if you don't let me go soon I'm going to die faster than I thought. The girls realized that they were starting to kill Izuku, so they let him go so that the boy could start breathing. Izuku. Hey Izawa, what about Eri? Izawa. Eri is fine although she is also worried knowing that you fought against Overhaul. Izuku. Then I better go calm her down and let her know that I'm okay. Jiru. But you're too tired to do that. They watched as the boy stood up without any problems and began walking calmly. Izuku. As you see, I'm fine, I suffered worse things. Izuku started walking to enter one of the rooms seeing Kirishima on a bed. Izuku. Is Kirishima alright? Kirishima. If I'm okay, I'll actually be able to leave soon. Izuku. I hope you're back in action. Kirishima. Yes, but what are Jiru, Momo and Kendo doing here? Izuku. They came to see us, nothing more. Kirishima. Okay, I hope you're okay. Izuku. Well, bye. The green-haired boy left the place to start walking towards the bedrooms when he went to Eri's room where the girl was looking at the window until she heard the door open so she could see Izuku. Izuku. Hello Eri. The girl went straight to Izuku, hugging his leg of her. Eri. I'm glad you're okay. Izuku. Yes I am, but there's no need for you to hug me too much, guess what Overhaul won't do anything to you anymore. Eri. You promise? Izuku. Yes, I traffic it. The girl just hugged Izuku, time passed and they were already in the living room when the cultural festival happened, causing everyone to start celebrating at such a thing, so that Izuku would go to his room, but when he entered he saw Eri playing with her sword. Eri. Hey Izuku, what's this for? Izuku. Eri, don't play with that, it's very dangerous. Izuku's mind. What 2 kinds of intelligent teenagers apart from being future heroes did not discover in months, this girl discovered as if it were nothing in hours. Eri. Do you do any sword work? Izuku. Yes Eri, I have jobs that I do with my sword at night. Eri. Like a vigilante. Izuku. Yes, like a vigilante in the shadows. The boy expected him to believe it until he noticed her smile, confirming that he did believe it, relieving him a little at least. Chapter 26. After Izuku went to fight with the 8 precepts of death apart from recovering to show Eri how the sports festival was going to be, at this moment Izuku was walking towards the dormitories, seeing how everyone was practicing their dances among other things for the festival, apart from the band they made. Jiru. Hey Izuku, don't you want to come to the band? Izuku. I'm afraid I can't do that for the moment. Haminari. Why? Izuku. First, if I get to sing at the festival, it's more than obvious that everyone would realize who I am, and second, I already signed up for something else. Kirishima. What did you sign up for? Izuku. Security guard for the girls' portion of the beauty pageant. Mineta. Wait, if you're going to do that or if there are positions I want to go. Izuku. I'm afraid not, I gave them good reasons for me to be the only one to take care of the girls. Saying that, the 2 perverts became discouraged, but the girls felt happy about this. Izuku. If you'll allow me, I have to do some things. Izuku left while thinking about something. Izuku's mind. Let's see if that gentle guy really wants to ruin everything. Izuku walked until he was in a place where there was no one, but he noticed a man. Izuku. You're that gentle guy. Gentle. And you a follower. Izuku. I actually came to stop you, you're not going to ruin the festival. Gentle. We'll see. In a second Izuku appeared in front of him, hitting him, taking the air out of him, so that he could grab him by the arm and throw him to crash into a tree. Izuku. Let's see how long you can last. Brala. Gentle Sama. Gentle. Don't worry, I can handle him. The man began to get a pink aura as he launched himself at Izuku who did the same, so they began to hit and dodge on the spot, although Izuku had already fought with worse guys, so it was easier for him to keep up with Gentle, who tried to hit him but couldn't, being surprised that a young man could keep up with him like that until due to that small distraction Izuku hit him. Knocking the air out of him as he pushed him away to go against him, kicking him, sending him against a tree. Izuku. I ask you to kindly surrender, I don't want to continue with this, it's clear that you're not a bad person, you were just treated badly. Gentle. We'll see. At one point he hit Izuku once, followed by another, but the green-haired man was starting to get tired of being hit, so he grabbed his arm to lift him into the air and throw him, although the man managed to avoid the collision to throw himself at Izuku, who prevented this by kicking him in the face, followed by grabbing him by the face to throw him against a tree and with a jump, hitting him hard, causing the man to end up going through the tree completely. Izuku, I asked that you surrender at once. Gentle. Never. At one point Izuku appeared behind her, hitting her in the neck, knocking her unconscious before the girl's eyes. Izuku. Your name is Brava, I would like you to take this man, I will not take them to prison, since they are good people, they just do not yet realize how to do good. Izuku left the place while Brava took Gentle to leave. Chapter 27. After Izuku had fought Gentle, defeating him so he could go to UA where he found his classmates practicing for the cultural festival, causing him to have a small smile so he would leave the place, the hours passed, and everyone from class 1 was finishing the concert while Izuku only remained in the security part. Izuku. It seems like all of them are doing well at the concert while I'm just there as the security guard. The boy just watched so that no one but the girls could enter the place until he saw Najire approaching. Najire. Hello Izuku, what are you doing here? Izuku. I'm the guard of the sector, I don't have much to do. Najire. Then you won't let any perverts in. Izuku. Well that's my main reason but wait a moment. The girl saw how the green-haired man ran to kick a bush, watching Mineta fly out who screamed in pain. Najire. You really are good. Izuku. I only know when something is out of the ordinary or someone is trying to trick me. Najire. See you later. Izuku. I hope you win. When he left I heard knuckles clicking while I felt a murderous aura, so I looked back seeing Kendo with a smile. Kendo. So you expect her to win? Izuku. It wasn't like that, besides I didn't know you were going to be in this. The girl looked more and more intimidating to the boy who began to pray for his life. The other girls entered, although they couldn't help but see the green-haired man with several bumps on his head. Once they all arrived, she saw Class A and B approaching. Monoma. What are you doing here? Izuku. I make sure no one comes in. Monoma. Really? The boy was about to enter, but a kick from Izuku sent him flying, followed by seeing two perverts approaching the door, but he grabbed them by the shirt to lift them up. Haminari. Hey Izuku, is everything okay? Mineta. I think you have to put us down. Izuku. You bad boy. They felt relieved until out of nowhere the green-haired boy began to spin until he threw them both away, causing them to get lost in the sky. Hiroshima. Annotation. Jiru. We have to leave it as a new score. The rest of things happened like the original story. Chapter 28. Once the cultural festival was over, everyone was just calm and unable to do anything, not knowing that soon they would see their friend fight again. Now everyone was in the recreation room. Haminari. Everyone needs to hear something important. Everyone just looked at the class pervert, wondering what he wanted now. Jiru. What the hell do you want? Some of us just mind our own business. Haminari. You guys should check this out. The young man took control so they could see how he would turn on the newscast where some reporters were. Reporter. We find ourselves in a part where Endeavor's fight against Anomu takes place, but the interesting thing is that it seems that the mercenary known as Ronin is fighting alongside him. At that they began to think about their partner while they watched the young man fighting alongside the man of fire. Endeavor. What the hell do you want? Ronin. Well, I had a mission to go after a person, but this thing killed him and it was only fair that I kill it. Endeavor. If you want to fight me you can do it, but I don't promise anything in the end. Ronin. I'm not interested in that. The young man only saw how the Nomu went towards them at enormous speed, and they were not going to be able to dodge it, so at one point he went into his shadow state only for with a movement of his hand blue fire to come out of the ground consuming the Nomu, only for Endeavor to take advantage of it to hit him. Endeavor. Let's get that thing over with. Ronin. You shouldn't say it twice. The two of them launched themselves only for the Nomu to be cut by the young man's sword, followed by receiving a blow from the man of fire, continuing in that way with the two of them attacking the Nomu at the same time, until the young man began to take out some green rays from his body, increasing the speed and strength of his blows until from his fingers, he took out some black whips that took the Nomu closer to him so that Endeavor could give him a blow that sent him crashing into some rubble. Endeavor. Hey Brad, if I'm not mistaken we've met. At that the young man only looked at him for that thing. Ronin. What are you talking about? Endeavor. I don't know why but those rays on your body look familiar to me. The two looked at each other having a moment of silence without realizing that the Nomu was beginning to approach so that it could attack Endeavor, but at one point it was pushed by the young man who ended up receiving the cut of its claws only to spit blood and he was sent flying crashing against a wall of a building and falling into the darkness before the eyes of his companions. Hiroshima. No, this is bad they gave him. Momo. Not Izuku. The girls only began to worry about the young man, while in the battle Endeavor only got up while taking the Nomu. Endeavor. Wretched one, now you will know my power. He said this as he began to draw out a greater amount of fire, starting to be like the original story of his fight. When it ended everyone celebrated for the man, while Izuku only had a smile for that. Izuku. Well done, you damn bastard, I guess if I continue like this sooner or later everyone will know my secret, I don't have many options. The young man only began to walk to get away from the place, while Endeavor was only on the floor on his knees, and Hawks began to approach him with the same. Hawks. Hey, are you okay? Endeavor. More importantly the boy, I need to know about that mercenary, that shadow. Hawks. Yes, but first we must help you recover. He said this as he looked at his friend and in the dorms, the class was only worried until Principal Nezu entered the room with the teachers. Lita. Director who does it in this place. Nezu. Now that doesn't matter, I want to know about Izuku. But that everyone looked at the director who was calm in the face of such a thing. Chapter 29. The entire class was nervous because at that moment, even though they knew the young man's secret, they had no way of speaking to the director and teachers of the UA, who simply maintained a firm stance. Sato. Excuse me director, but there's no way we can say anything about Izuku right now. Nezu. And why is that? Momo. Well, he is indeed sick, that's it. Everyone looked at this strange thing, even some professionals like some families, including Endeavors, were there. Natsuo. Then it's correct that he needs help, I must try to go. Hiroshima. But he's feeling really bad, he doesn't want to help right now. Mayumi. But if she feels very bad and Natsuo is a doctor, it is best that he takes care of this. Everyone was thinking of a way to have a certain conversation to avoid problems until they heard someone approaching down the hall. It was Izuku in his suit and they only saw how he had difficulty walking until he reached one of the armchairs where he sat down. Haminari. What happened? Izuku. Just try to stop pretending, the director knows about this like All Might and it's best that more people start knowing about this. Everyone saw the young man's damage as they walked towards him, at the same time he took off his mask that had some blood on it as they began to help him with his wounds. Natsuo. It looks ugly, I think at the end of it all that Nomu really hurt you when you helped my father. Waruko. At least he's still standing, that's what's important. Izuku. It wasn't a Nomu like the rest, I think it's the certain high end. But that they began to approach the young man who was only being helped by Natsuo who was taking care of his wounds. Nezu. I'd like to know what you have to say. Izuku. I don't have much, it still costs too much, I only know that the Nomus needs a certain amount of development, a state of rest, once their rest is over they will be able to directly start fighting, think about stopping being like wild animals, those are more dangerous high range. Midnight. How do you know this kind of stuff? Nezu. One of young Izuku's virtues in his work is that among the assassins are some hired by the League of Villains. Izuku. And it has its benefits to be considered one of the most dangerous assassins. Nezu. Thanks to that we have more answers with which we can move. Melissa. So you're really hurt, but you still need help right now. Uraraka. It's best that you rest for now, you can't move much. Najire. Although it's lucky you're still standing, you did receive a pretty deep cut. But that they saw him try to get up so that the white-haired young man could help him walk. Natsuo. For now we must do everything possible to help him recover, we have no choice but to do so. Before he left they saw how the young man stopped while looking at Toshinori who could only get closer. Toshinori. What's wrong? Izuku. I think things are getting worse, this attack, this high-end Nomu was only a test, it worked to know the truth of his power against a new number one. Toshinori. What are you talking about? Izuku. There are rumors that the League of Villains is preparing more high-end Nomus, and not only that, there is a possible perfect Nomu that will possibly be at the level of All for One, I really don't know, but this is an enormous danger. Saying such a thing he could only notice how he began to get thoughtful because of the words of the young successor, apart from the fact that everyone was watching his conversation apart from listening to it. Toshinori. What can you advise? Izuku. I can only tell you to prepare everyone, there is a possible war in the future, and I need everyone to prepare, and in order to prepare you must know the whole truth. Toshinori. You don't talk about being able to talk about one for all. But the last words they left everyone with more doubts because they said the name of that villain, but the order of the words was reversed. Izuku. Yes, that way we can fight with everything, there are no other options, please do it. The man watched as the young man began to leave so he could rest in front of everyone's gaze as the man began to take a seat. Sato. What were you talking about, Professor? All Might. Well, a very important secret happens, something that I kept secret for years, like at the same time about 7 generations before me. He said this as everyone watched this having doubts about the man's words and what he was going to say. Chapter 30. At the academy everyone was preparing their things for one of the tests they were going to have to do, along with Class B, not worrying about the things that were going to happen. Izawa. Okay class, now we will have a test with Class 1B, I hope you don't end up in trouble. Uraraka. Professor, there is just one detail and it is about Izuku, I don't think he can fight at all. Izuku. Yes I can, they are just small wounds nothing more. Bakugo. Small wounds that in the end simply end up damaging an organ. Izuku. You really want to end this badly. Izawa. Anyway, it's going to be Class A against Class B. By saying that I only explained the things of the original story being the same teams where each one passed as it should be, so that only Izuku's team could remain as they began to prepare. Mineta. What can we do as a plan? Mina. Actually Izuku, you must have something in mind with your experience. Izuku. Yes, I think the best thing may be not to lose or fall into their traps, it is the best advice I have for you at the moment. Uraraka. I don't think it helps much. By saying that they were only able to begin the test where part of Class B tried to find them without having many problems seeing Mineta walking around the area. Monoma. It seems that we will be able to catch them without any problems at the end of it all. Shinso. Although it is strange that we only see one member of him, there is something that doesn't add up to me about this. Yui. That's true, there's one detail that doesn't make sense to be honest. Monoma. Who cares? We should just go for him and that's it. He'll be one less on the list. He said this as he lunged at Mineta, who was beginning to notice him little by little, becoming a little scared, but that didn't last long as out of nowhere a foot ended up hitting the blonde's face, sending him crashing into a wall, surprising everyone who looked at how it was Izuku, who only had a serious look as he stared at them. Yui. It was a trap, it was just bait. Shinso. Yes, but since we know the truth about him, we have an idea that he can't really appear as if nothing happened, he must have had something up his sleeve before. Out of nowhere the structure where they were began to fall, with Mina being the one who was using her quirk. Yui. So this was their plan to be able to attack us from the beginning. Shinso. It's time to go, we can't stay around here. The violet-haired boy threw his ribbons in a direction so he could leave, as Yui was about to try to do the same, but at one point apart from the place, some metals hit the girl, ending up dropping her to the floor. Uraraka, who had a smile. When Monoma managed to get up, he saw how they captured one of his companions, so that he would end up getting angry. Monoma. We barely started and they already have one of our own. Izuku. In fact, the other one they left hidden somewhere we have it in the same way, it wasn't a big deal. Monoma. You miserable piece of shit. But that he launched himself against touching him, but it didn't work at all, thanks to the fact that his foot stopped causing him to fall to the floor without understanding why, but out of nowhere, he began to see what Mineta was like who launched more of his fears covering the blonde's body for such a thing. Izuku. There we have the matter covered, now that we are done with those 4 only one member is missing. He said this while looking at Shinso who was standing in a building staring at such a thing. Shinso. Don't think it's going to be that easy with me, you know that kind of thing pretty well. Izuku. There's only one way to find out. He said it while taking a piece of the floor just to throw it against the young mind controller, who had to jump to dodge it, although he noticed how it was going after him, causing him to only be able to start throwing his ribbons in order to catch him, although he did not count on the green-haired man managing to take out some black whips, with which he began to move around the area being that he completely dodged a boy surprising everyone with how he managed to do such an act until he managed to get in front of Shinso, where he tried to connect a blow on him, who managed to dodge it to take him in a grip to be able to throw him to the floor, but Izuku did not want to be left behind, since with his black whips, he managed to take him to fall next to him in order to catch him. Shinso. How bad they have me now. Instead of having an answer, they just locked him up to end the test. Izuku. To be honest, it wasn't easy to believe that you finally listened to me, I can see that you trained your body a little more, and that's better. He said this while giving a smile to the young purple-haired boy, who had the same smile for such an act by his partner. Chapter 31. In the director's room, he saw how Izuku began to enter little by little, who had a calm look so he could sit in front of him, while he just looked seriously into his eyes. Nezu. I know very well that you wanted to see me while ago, I don't know why you want to see me. Izuku. It's a matter of utmost importance, director, it's about the League of Villains. Nezu. What's happening now? I hope it's something important. Izuku. What happens is that lately many of the fighters who use my power are hired by the League of Villains. Nezu. What's wrong with that? They just want to be able to watch them fight. Izuku. Yes, maybe it is that way, but it is not normal for them to spend too much time going away and come back without a serious injury. In our fights there are only serious injuries, they are never minor. Nezu. Maybe that's true, but I don't understand what you're trying to get at with this. Izuku. What I'm getting at is that the League of Villains is planning something very big, too serious to be honest. I recently interrogated a member of the assassins. Nezu. And what happened? Izuku. I can only say that we are in danger and on a large scale. There are rumors that more Nomas like the one that faced Endeavor recently are being built. Other Nomas are just distractions that are currently attacking the city to hide the real threat. Nezu. What threat are we talking about? Izuku. I have an infiltrator in their ranks. He told me about the Gigantomachia project, a being of enormous proportions, possibly the most powerful Nomu we have ever faced. Not even the League of Villains fighting together can defeat him, and for that reason we are in more danger than normal. If we do not do something soon we will be worse off. Nezu. What a huge danger, that answers a lot of things, but what I don't quite understand is exactly what you're trying to get at. I want you to get straight to the point. Izuku. We must prepare an attack on the League of Villains as soon as possible. That is what I want to achieve, because I think Shigaraki will soon receive all for one in his body. We cannot let that happen. Nezu. I see, so you think we'll be in trouble soon. In short, we'll have to do something about it. Izuku. I only have one plan. I can enter the area where I can stay hidden until I get to where their power source is. It must be somewhere, and when I do it that way, I will be able to go against all of them. When I finish with their power source, then all the heroes will be in charge of entering to be able to finish the matter. Nezu. Well, we just need to know exactly about the matter of your infiltrators. Izuku. One of them is Aoyama. I recently managed to discover that he works for the League of Villains, but he doesn't do it of his own free will, but rather he does it to protect his family, therefore we must keep his family safe, especially once this kind of things start. Nezu. And what about the other infiltrators? There must be more. Izuku. Yes, there is another one, but for the moment I must keep its place as an identity a secret. I'm sorry for that detail if you don't like it. Nezu. Well, I'd like to know the exact things you're going to do. Izuku. You can relax, Nezu, it won't be long before we put the matter to the test, just that no one must know of our plans, because if this were to spread as a rumor, then it would be better to keep it in a better way, because the villains will know of our plans. Nezu. In that case, I will list the strongest and most loyal heroes for battle. Izuku. Sounds good to me, I have to go right now before anyone gets suspicious. He said this as he began to walk away from the place, remaining calm while thinking about how to finish off the villains. Chapter 32. They managed to spend the days where they prepared to be able to attack the League of Villains, since all the heroes were in different points. On the other hand, Izuku looked at each part of where they were going to have to attack, since he was going to have to go to the center of the area. Izuku. Now I just have to end this before things get worse. Abi. Do you really think you're going to be able to do that? The young man looked to the side where the villain was with a smile as if it were nothing. Izuku. What the hell are you doing here? I thought you were inside the base. Abi. Maybe, but we still have an informant who was in charge of telling us everything they were planning and kept you away. Izuku. I don't think it's of much importance, in the end you're going to end up dead or in a cell, in any case it's the same to me. Abi. Are you sure you want that? Because it's better if you listen to us. Izuku. What do you mean? Abi. It's simple, we have information where we manage to obtain a lot of things, especially identities like that of a musician or a fighter who is actually a murderer. But that he showed photos of himself at the UA with the fights and when he sang, which was something strange for him that he couldn't understand. Izuku. What does this mean? There's no way you'd know about this kind of thing. Abi. Maybe Ronin, but our informant stayed closer than you think, but the real question is whether you'll actually be able to keep things under control. Izuku. Tell me what you truly want. Abi. Well, I know the plan is for you to start the attack by activating some explosives that you left through some infiltrators. Even though we already removed the explosives, you can start the attack anyway. You just have to tell them to stop and go back to their homes. The attack is suspended until further notice. Izuku. What will happen if I don't do it? Abi. If you don't do it then we will have to let the information of your secret out to different parties so that you are truly able to understand what happens when they mess with the League of Villains. Everyone will know your 3 identities, whichever one they really are. Izuku. That must be a joke, you're going to negotiate with my life at all costs in order to save your organization's things. Abi. I'm afraid so, Tamura is not ready yet, our high-end Nomas are not ready yet, and to top it off our weapon known as Gigantomachia still has certain defects, but in short, we just want you to give us a little more time at least before we attack you. The young man was left thinking about the villain's words while he looked at how he had a detonator in his hand, and then he turned around to start walking in front of Dabi, passing by him who had a smile on his face. Dabi. I knew you were going to choose well. Izuku. About that, I'm afraid you're not feeling well. Dabi. What do you mean? Izuku. I knew from the beginning that you have an infiltrator inside the UA, so I made them believe where I was going to leave the explosives, the way of the attack and other important details are all lies, not to mention that I was very clear that you, as a good league of villains that you are, know my identities, that's why I had everything under control from the beginning. Dabi. That's impossible, it clearly can't be possible that you know all of our movements. Izuku. Well, you just have to be 3 steps ahead of where your opponent actually is. But that he activated the detonator causing the area where the villains were to explode, causing Dabi to try to attack him, but instead he ended up with a kick to the stomach, causing him to fall to the floor into a hole. Izuku. Let the show begin. But that he began to walk towards the area where the villains were, who could not understand what was happening until they saw the heroes approaching. Chapter 33. From the battle zone, the green-haired young man was able to perfectly synchronize One for All, with the power of the shadows he had, demonstrating his true ability in combat, defeating as many villains as were in his path, until he managed to join up with the other heroes. Endeavor. I have to admit, you managed to handle this kind of plans better than I thought, I never even imagined that you were capable of controlling it so well. Izuku. I'm just trying to handle myself as best I can, but the important thing is that the two of us are able to defeat as many villains as possible. All Might. That's going to be a problem because more and more Nomas appear, it seems like they were waiting for us a bit. Izuku. The best thing is to be able to look for different ways to finish them off, but I have no idea how to do it. Endeavor. It's better if we take out the biggest one. Izuku. What are you talking about? At that point the flame hero began to throw a large amount of fire, causing some villains to fall to the ground unconscious, while they watched as Gigantomachia himself was on one side, while Tamura was fighting on the other. Endeavor. If we manage to defeat those two, they will lose all hope of continuing to fight. Izuku. Then we should take care of it as soon as possible. Endeavor. My group and I will take care of Gigantomachia, he won't have any chance of escaping. Izuku. That leaves the boss. The green-haired youth launched himself into combat, while Tamura managed to maintain his fight against everyone, and at one point before he was able to touch more heroes, he ended up being received by a kick from the green-haired youth, causing him to fall to the ground. Izuku. I think it's time for our fight. Tamura. I've been waiting for you to come for me, but don't think too much of yourself because of your handling of One for All. Izuku. Maybe, but you're not the only one with secrets that knows about the other, I know you better than you think. Tamura. What are you talking about now? Izuku. There's no need to think too much when your grandmother is the same Nana Shimura, 7th bearer of One for All, I know your story and more things. The villain became angry at such a fact as he went on to use his quirk against Izuku, trying to hit the target, but the young man was able to avoid it by starting to dodge it in order to connect a kick in his face, but he didn't manage to get out completely well, since as soon as he touched the ground, Tamura himself managed to destroy part of it so that he would get up, causing him to hit the green-haired man who went straight towards him, where he was barely able to lightly touch a part of his body, so Izuku had no choice but to get away. Tamura. One knows the other apparently, I think you have no idea what might really be going on. Izuku. Of course I do, but unlike you I managed to handle myself the way I want. Tamura. You think too much, but at the end of all this, one is going to die. Izuku. Maybe that's true, but what's going to happen with both you and me is that there will be no more secrets, no one will keep a secret from anyone anymore. The villain launched himself against Izuku, who only managed to connect a blow to his stomach, followed by throwing him to crash against some rocks. Although in the end Tamura himself with a little help from All for One using some quirks, went on to launch them against the green-haired young man, who was barely able to dodge until Tamura himself connected a kick to his stomach, causing him to be thrown into the rubble. Tamura. What's wrong with you? You don't seem to have a smile on your face, it's a shame that kind of thing happens when you die. He said this while smiling at the young man who was barely able to get up because that attack really ended up being quite strong and more than he had received in his entire life. Chapter 34. The villain approached little by little with intentions of ending the life of the young man at that moment, who was barely able to remain standing as he only stared at the villain. Tamura. Don't tell me you're giving up already, because in part it would be for the best, your body can't take it anymore and your wounds are too big. Izuku. This isn't over yet. Tamura. Maybe you think that, but if we look at it better you are quite injured, you can't move, victory is on my side. Izuku. Maybe, but I still have an ace up my sleeve. Tamura. And what could it be? Because up until now you weren't able to do anything. Izuku. Maybe, but we must take into account that they were investigating me. If they were really doing that, then you would take into account that I am capable of using more than just one quirk at the same time. Tamura. What the hell are you talking about? In a moment he saw how an explosion of smoke occurred where fog began to surround the place before Tamura's eyes, who managed to see how Izuku met that shadow energy at the same time that he began to create swords in his hands. Tamura. What does this mean? I think I need to start getting serious if I want to face this guy. The young man began to let out a large amount of mist with which he was lost in the sight of the villain who was about to disperse the mist. But ended up with a cut on his cheek, followed by some whips taking his body to throw him towards a part where he managed to receive a kick in his stomach, fully followed by more attacks from different points, continuously receiving more damage, until with one attack, he managed to disperse the mist, managing to see the young man. Tamura. I've got you, now I'll kill you. He launched himself against him thinking he could achieve it, but with a single movement of Izuku's sword, a winged portal appeared next to it, where the weapon passed, followed by it sticking into Tamura's shoulder, making him complain of the pain, so that he received a kick in his jaw that sent him up, where he was grabbed by some chains of the green-haired man that threw him towards him to connect a blow to the pit of his stomach that left him without air, followed by grabbing him by the neck to crash him against the floor. Tamura's thoughts. I don't understand, he's become stronger than before, but I had all the advantage over him. This doesn't make sense where he got this power from. Izuku. I hope you're ready to die once and for all. Tamura. What do you mean? You're a hero, you can't kill me. Izuku. That's right, a hero can't kill you. But that the villain relaxed a little knowing that he was not going to be able to die in that battle, but the following words upset him. Izuku. But it's a shame that a murderer like me can do it. The villain tried to do something about it in order to survive, but was sent flying into some rubble, where he barely collided with it when he was greeted by a kick from the green-haired man, causing it to break, while he was only able to continue beating the villain's body to a pulp. Something that others who were in the area managed to notice to stop their confrontation, and they stared as Tamura, who led all the villains, was being destroyed from head to toe by the same young man who at one point grabbed him by the head to throw him against the floor and landed on him, destroying a large part of his internal body so that he would spit blood and be taken by the neck while being lifted by Izuku, who was wearing his mask. Tamura. Who the hell are you? Izuku. I could say it, but it's not worth doing it with you right now. But that he proceeded to plunge his sword into Tamura's body, causing him to spit blood as he managed to feel his life leaving his body to die once and for all. Chapter 35. On the battlefield, the heroes were locking up the villains, while others were just trying to help the people in the area, and among all those people was Endeavor walking around the area, trying to see how everything was. Hawk. Hey Endeavor, we need to lock up the remaining villains. Endeavor. You can take care of it, I have something very important to do. Hawk. And may I know what it is? Endeavor. No, it's too big a secret at the moment. A young flame boy walked through the area trying to get to the top of a mountain, where he saw Izuku in that place sitting on a rock while he stared at how they were helping each person. Endeavor. You seem to be very thoughtful, it seems. Izuku. A little, but I think I have a result. Endeavor. What is it? Izuku. I can't be a killer, hero and singer at the same time, sooner or later people will find out and I can't afford to reveal everything. He said this while looking at his singer mark and mask. Endeavor. So what are you planning from now on? Nezu. It must be something very good for you young Izuku, right? Izuku. The truth is there were explosions in different parts of the city, among those explosions one of my buildings where that singer died. On the other hand, the Ronin assassin, seeing so much destruction, decided to participate in the battle, and when seen by the people fighting against Dabi and Tamura, he ended up dead during the battle, that's all. But that he threw the two things to the floor and proceeded to destroy them. Endeavor. Are you safe? We can help you keep your secret. Izuku. No thanks, as much as I like that idea coming from you, unfortunately it is useless. Endeavor. What makes you think that? Izuku. The League of Villains knew about my secret, only the most important ones who are now dead, and my class without telling you. It was a matter of time before my secret was not too big a secret. Nezu. So with this we end everything that is happening. Endeavor. Although you should keep in mind that many people will think less of you. Izuku. Better for me, there's no need for people to follow me, knowing that they are safe is more than enough. Nezu. Don't you have a good plan in mind other than this? Izuku. Yes, in a few hours the number of casualties that occurred during the battle will be given. Once the casualties are given between the battles, the names of well-known or important people are always mentioned in the middle of all that. That will be the moment where people will know that I am partly dead. Endeavor. Do you have any way to prove this? Izuku. Yes, I have the best way to prove it. He then raised his foot to stomp hard on it, destroying the same mask at that moment, followed by setting a little fire to that mark on his singing side, causing them to be surprised by that very thing, followed by them seeing how he lifted the remains to give it to Endeavor, who looked at this. Endeavor. What are you doing now? Izuku. You were close to the battle, not to say in the center, you will be in charge of telling the world how you saw Ronin kill Tamura in the process, even though his wounds ended up killing him in the end, you witnessed everything, and that is why you will give the news. Nezu. Sounds good, but what are you planning to do? Izuku. I have some things to finish, that's all. The young man only began to walk while he thought about going with some girls, so he could relax at the end of everything under the watchful eyes of the heroes. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.